and gentlemen, welcome back to the RSC. It is the final week itself for the season, and we will be kicking off with Elite. But before we even get to that, it seems to be almost like a mini Team Serene sort of hideout here on the broadcast. All former people from it, well, exception of course, Stingray, who stepped in last second here. But Veal, more importantly, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Danny Boy. I think this might be the first time I get to cast with you. Obviously, we talked a lot back in the past, but now we get to share this screen. I get to share a cast with a team we both have a couple of ties with from the background, so I have no doubts in my mind that this is going to be a great one. Before we can jump into it though, we will just have a recap of our play-ins from yesterday on screen, as well as our matches for tonight. Yesterday we started out with Saturnia facing off in Gunai, and they did take that in a 4-0 fashion, but they failed to replicate that when they met Ferniages in the follow-up game, where they were beat 4-2. We then finished off with none other than Stingray subbing in for Jarls, and they were able to close that series out in a 4-3 fashion. It was very spectacular. Today we start off with Okami versus Deception. Winner of that will go on to face Darkness in round 2 of play-ins, and we will finish off with Atlakoya Bani. And I'm pretty sure you're going to be here for all 3 games here tonight, Danny Boy.
Certainly so, and I'll sit here and say this. It's not often I have personally requested to do certain games. I requested to do all 3, and as well the Talon tonight. So I'll let that linger for this evening. But I don't want the players to wait too long. And, you know, people love predictions. What's yours?
You know, you're putting me on the spot here, and, you know, we both love Team Serene. We both boasted on them for a while. However, I do feel like they have met their match here tonight. They, of course, only barely scraped by to get into the play-ins, and I think they're gonna lose it in a 4-2 fashion.
Well,
what about you, Danny Boy?
Well, that's fair enough. 4-0 to Illusory. Simple as that. But, you know what? That's talk. It's cheap. What is certainly, however, is action itself. It is, of course, best of 7s if you've only just tuned in for the first time this season. What are you doing? The play-ins has revamped from what was essentially best of 5. If that was the case last night, Stingray still would have qualified with his elite team. It's just a question on tonight. Who wants it more? The defending champion in the form of RMD might make a run here.
Indeed, it's a strong start here from Deception. They're really closing in on that goal, but they're not able to get anything out of it this time. A bit slumpy in the end. Here we see Nick Soinyo trying to find RMD, and he will bury it into the back of that net, Danny Boy. He did exactly what Deception couldn't do just moments before.
Certainly so, and it's just a straight in shot as well. And you know what, both sides here, and I'll be frank about this, struggled to find scrims in sort of the last second of as well, in terms of even when you talk about preparations going into a series like this here. There's some teams in the likes of DSQ apparently scrimming 3 times tonight alone. They are in Saturday. They don't even need to worry about it. While teams like this here scrapping at the foot of the league table just to get into situations like this. I mean, for everybody, just qualifying is where you want to be. But when you have that sort of scent, this sort of bite off it, you want to grab to the playoffs themselves here. And Serene's trying to do everything they can here.
Yep, but it's another quick counter from Okami here. Not able to finish it off. That shot is just not on target enough, and I doubt there was space to squeeze it past. But they will not get rewarded for it this time. But they keep the pressure here. It's gonna bounce down in front of goal. Not able to finish the job. A bit of an overcommit, and Kram is able to just sneak it by Slumpinho, who didn't get to read it properly. Apparently JB gonna go up for this one. Gonna take it to the corner. Don't know if I'm a big fan of this, and it will be Slumpy. Just able to clear that one to the side. Will, however, not be able to follow that off the bump. Nix will be able to get to that one. But a couple of whiffs here in midfield sees the pressure staying for Deception. But once again, another overcommit, Danny, here. It doesn't look like they're really building up their attack as properly as you would like them to.
Certainly so. I'm somewhat laughing, somewhat behind the cams, unfortunately, there when you say, I don't like that ball in the camera. The first ever conversation I had with Veal himself, it was with Nicola, I believe it was, arguing in between positioning and rotations. It seems to be the both sides are having this massive argument on where they want the ball at the moment.
Yep, exactly. And I just want to kind of go back to, you said DSQ scrimming 3 times tonight. You know, I hear that and I think, well, first of all, you think that's a lot of scrimming. You sure hope that they're going to be ready for it when they go in. But historically, from my point of view, whenever I've seen a team really start to ramp up their scrims going into playoffs, they almost always start to throw a little bit when it gets to the big moment. RMD here will not let that moment slip by. He will keep his lead for now, but Thornhill gonna try and set up his teammate here, but it's a great clear by Slumpy. Cram gonna keep this one alive, but RMD is gonna be able to follow up that bad touch, and he is gonna be trying to carry this one forward. He has Slumpy in the inside. He will find him, and it will sneak past Cram, but off the crossbar. That is still reverberating, but JB will be able to take this one into a counter-attack here.
I'll tell you this here, been in the commentary booth for nearly a decade at this point, and I think that's the first time I heard the word reverberating being used correctly. That's joyful, and Serene will be certainly smiling so here. Second decent chance here, moving away here. Earthquake surely, Cram shaken, per first touch infield box ago with Thor. Played him in rank earlier, no more than 24 hours ago. You would think you would race in front of an important match. Well, clearly playing against me, it was easy enough. He beat me quite comfortably as Cram straight down. Thorn one touch, Slumpy back up and down it goes. About 70 seconds left here. Both sides should have more goals than the scoreboard showing, but yet the main line is Serene up by that one.
Yep, it will fall back on the Okami side of the field though, and a nice cutout by JB. Cram fires a shot, but it's off target. This one though will sneak its way past, and we do have an equalizer late on. Some drama to finish off this game one here, Danny.
Drama? Does this count as drama?
Well, you know, it looked kind of like Okami was just going to run away with it, and all of a sudden Deception somehow managed to scramble together at attack and able to get that ball through the posts. But will it matter? Cram is certainly going to try and make it. Will not be able to follow this one up as Slumpy. Gonna take it to his corner, but cut out by JB. It is gonna fall in front of goal, but nice composure by Nix there to take it away. Cram gonna have a chance here, but it gets cut out. And some strong challenges from Okami, making it very, very difficult for Deception to follow off those interceptions they get in the first place.
Balls into the box here. Serene, can they follow each other's chances? And Illusionary essentially has allowed that one to slip on by here. RMD, he called himself the 2.5-man rotation. It was on point there to keep that one into the threatening side here, where Serene would like to captivate their sort of opportunities here. As JB, one touch, not ideal. Nixo straight down. RMD, will he go for the pass? No, solo play, believes in himself. It will linger into the box as Slumpy forces the chances. That hasn't occurred. Well, we talked about drama. If you tuned in yesterday, we saw drama. We saw Serenity himself and Aspire and Cluey from, of course, the Berserkers lineup. There was a massive slam of the desk. We won't be seeing that, but who will get the opportunity to get them team up by one?
That pass not good enough. Will be cut out by JB. Here is Slumpy with a chance on net, but it's a great early pre-jump from the opposition. Here comes JB with a bit of a skim attempt on his own. Nix, a very good cutout by him there, able to deal with that. JB gonna keep it alive, and a bit of a misread by Nix, but Slumpy to bail him out. How many more times can you get away with missing the ball like that though, Danny?
Oh, at least 3 more times.
Okay, that's a pretty specific amount. Is there any reason behind that, or?
I like the number 3.
That is also a pretty good number. Nix gonna force it back to RMD here. A bit of a chance from Slumpy, but not a lot of power on that shot. We'll see a JB try and take it forward here. It's a good bounce for Thornhill. Just needs to get it past RMD. Will do so. But Slumpy waiting very patiently behind him. Nix gonna cut this one out. Gonna make RMD even more awkward, but he is able to deal with it. But JB here has a good opportunity to make something happen, but once again, a poor pass will just lead to a big clearance down the other end.
There will be Slumpy, RMD. Nixo was in the box there, and I presume RMD called him off, but positioning has to be on point here by both sides here. We saw essentially Serene themselves was essentially dropping back here. They can't afford to give too much space here. Closed down by Nixo. RMD slows the play down, not past one. Nixo with low boost, limited options, and that's a poor touch. And perhaps here, that's a sort of the third and fourth sort of loose one by him. The situation's getting to him.
Yep. JB gonna try and make everything happen on his own, but it's a very big clearance once again. Slumpy gets caught out a bit here, is able to get a touch, and is gonna be able to follow it up. RMD with the demo here, but that leaves him in a very vulnerable place. Nyx overcommits. RMD gets lucky here, but will he be able to stop it? Indeed he will. But once again, this ball getting very, very dangerous for the side of Okami. It is going to be a great touch here by RMD. He's going to try and bait in Thornhill. Will get the flick off. Cram should have the beat, but what a touch by Slumpy. But no follow-up from Nyx. Means that didn't matter at all. And it will just be a straight counter-attack after that, Danny, to end this first game.
And that's arguably poor by Team Shireen themselves here. I mean, yes, you were on the ropes for a period of time there, but let's not forget here, it's the whole picture you got to look at. They were in the lead until the last minute. They had the opportunities there. They've let themselves be split wide open here. And essentially, Deception themselves was given the opportunity to get back into the game here through more mistakes than brilliance. If that's going to be how the opening game shows us anything, I think Okami themselves here might be for a difficult evening here.
Yeah, especially if they start playing like they did in the end there. I mean, you can argue the goal was a bit unlucky, but it's how they managed to to play the rest of the game out after that. I didn't really see any real attempts at net. It looked like they were more scared of conceding. And in the end, very poetically, that's what made them lose that game. It's that lack of commit on the last pass there, which was really good, but the follow-up that wasn't there meant that the counter-attack was just going straight down to their net.
No, certainly so. The opportunities are certainly there. We've been somewhat looking forward to this matchup. I know in Team Shireen, I mean, we've sat there and seen it over the time themselves in terms of what could happen, or, you know, various conversations. We both know Kieran quite well, former teammate, of course, to Nick. So, and, you know, coming into this week, they were warming up, playing twos, talking, laughing. But, you know, we know from our own experiences, coming into situations, days like this, it can be horrible. 2 seasons ago, they played Conflict. Alpha Surge, Game 5, it was an OT loss. And even since then, that's about 6-7 months ago, I haven't heard the end of it. They still remember that. They do know the pain, and it could be dished out even further if Illusory can put that one on target.
Then yeah, I'm just gonna have to stop you right there. We can't be saying that. We can't be saying that combination of numbers. There is some kids that is gonna be making fun of that, Danny. But moving on, Nixo is gonna try and force this one into the middle. Not able to do so. Slumpy to back him up. But once again, a big clearance. But it's a double commit from Deception. Low boost for everyone here. Nixo just needs to force it middle, but not able to do so. Slumpy will be able to back him up here though. But JB could be passing it to Okami, but a lack of commitment once again. Bit too slow to that ball, which will mean that they have to start all over again from the back of the field. Slumpy gonna get a good force here. Will there be a follow-up? No, there will not. Thornhill will force this one to Cram. He cannot find the shot on net, but they will keep the pressure here. I'm excited to see what Thornhill can do here. He leaves it for JB, but Slumpy will deal with it very comfortably so, and it should be an opening for Okami to get down the other end here, Danny.
Certainly so, and that's a shot on target. It was a bump play too, and Illusory's removed it straight out. I mean, you sat there and talk about the immaturity of certain numbers. I didn't clock on that. Likewise, neither did Shireen in terms of the positional awareness, the pass and play right through. And that's the threat that Deception has. I mean, a long time ago, Rahu was the GM, plays under Alpha Surge, and you know what? He had a scary sort of weekend approach as well too. That, however, is an equalising response.
And what even happened here? It's Cram with a big pinch here, but Slumpy just not having any of it. And Nexo finally having that bit of commitment that I've been looking for. And it will lead to a goal. First time they actually take a chance here in this game, Danny. And it leads to a goal. Maybe that can get the confidence going for them.
Well, I mean, if you were sitting in the VC, well, as the coach or say as a sub here, because I know Shireen's got Shad with the boys themselves right now here, what would you try to do to get the confidence up? Yes, you can sit there and say about goals and opportunities, but there's a lot more to the game than just that.
Yeah, of course there is. It's just, you know, believing in your boys. If you can't believe in the 2 players you have playing on the field with you, The only people who are trying to win this game with you, who can you trust in? And if you're trying to go in with into the playoffs here on a completely individual mentality that you are just gonna be performing, well, it's just not gonna set up your team. And you gotta get that team play, and you gotta believe that when that ball comes middle for you, you gotta be there to take the chance, and you gotta just sink it in, just like RMD does right here.
Just, the song Take a Chance on Me. I would break into an acapella, but I think JB's already split and broken the glass at the same time. That's impressive. Unfortunately, he wouldn't want to see that one again. 2-1 is the scoreline. Serene themselves, they need to build on this. They can't afford to throw the lead as well, too. This is a critical game in terms of the complexion already. It may only just be the second of a possible best of 7 going the distance. But again, one little thought, one little slip up, and it has that tumbling effect that causes a cascade straight on down.
Yeah, it was a good pass there from Slumpy, but no follow-up once again. I can't really blame him there. The positioning wasn't on point for that pass, but it was a great effort. But RMD not able to stop that shot from JB, and all of a sudden, this game is very open once again, Danny. It kind of looks like that game 1, except this equalizer comes a bit earlier on.
Yeah, there's not much you can sit there and say that. Both sides essentially, and this is no disrespect, they're not playing at their best. The way they're positioned, the way they're approaching to the ball, and the way that things are going out here, it's a game of opportunity, and there's RMD slotting one home from exactly that.
Indeed it is, and he just placed the miss by Krem, beautifully so, gets it past Thornhill. You could argue Thornhill should have had that, but it is a great chance, and the player sits right in front of goal, able to follow that one up, and it just goes hand in hand with what I said. You gotta be there when the moment presents itself, and it kind of hurts that we don't see these teams at their full capabilities, but I'm sure that they will be ramping up as this series gets on. Of course, that is unless Serene manages to throw this game away and potentially does the same in the next. I think at that point, the mental is going to be very hard to recover. But they do look alive after that goal to open up the scoring once again. Krem is going to try and do the same down the other end, but it's a great cut up by Slumpy. Will he get a touch here? Yes, but I'm not a big fan of that. I think a fake would have been better here, Danny.
A fake would have been better. Yeah, could have. Do you know what would have been even better? A goal. And that's unfortunately, again, it just didn't slip on in. All three of Shireen caught on the wrong side of the line here, dropped them back. And the recruitment needs to be on point here. The cavalry is essentially with a marching orders now to go forwards. And pass 2 here to Slumpy, not able to get past it. Should be Deception's really ball here. Nixo and no man's land, and RMD, well, he's refilled the tank here. And, well, for the multiple times champion that he is, that was a loose ball by his standards.
Yes, RMD gonna even take it across his own teammate there. Nix gonna have to try and make up for that mistake. He will keep the pressure here, but I doubt he will be able to make much from it. It will be Slumpy now. From the same position, able to squeeze it past, but once again, just floating in this corner, not really threatening if you're on the side of Deception. Nixo gonna try and do it even better. This time, it finds its way in front of goal, but just no follow-up here means that the counter is straight on for Deception. Thornhill gonna try and beat out Slumpy, not able to do so. Slumpy even gets to beat a second, and RMD only has 1 to beat, gets it past, takes it on the backboard. Is the follow-up gonna be there? Nixo too slow to it, and Deception get one more chance if they can find the counter here.
The counter doesn't seem to be happening. It is Slumpy and RMD holding hands. The ball certainly will drop to the floor. Well, it'd be a bit cliche. Best of 7 reduced now to a best of 5. Both teams have got at least 1 on the board. So that's our sense of don't know how to win. There's no excuse for that now. It should be a clean match here.
Yeah, that kind of kills your prediction, Danny, but mine still lives on.
Oh, I'm so heartbroken. Everybody knows in RSC I care about my predictions.
No, I just kind of wanted to mention it to see what your reaction would be. And I'm very happy I did, but it's going to be interesting to see how both teams manage themselves here. Of course, Okami, I think, have looked like the stronger team both games. However, in that first game, they kind of let it slip away from them. They kind of looked like they just didn't want to lose that game and didn't look like they wanted to directly win it. But this game, they were able to make more happen than deception on the other end, and whether that's down to poor defense from both teams or Okami just being better at following up those chances, well, I think only time will tell us in the next game here, Danny.
Certainly so. I mean, the sort of the second goal, really, a deception to tie the game up, was through a defence being split open with one simple pass. All three of Team Shireen was beaten. And if you're going into a series like that there, you have to have sort of a psychological sort of edge as well too. I mean, going into it, probably the likes of DSQ, maybe Azteca, Brave potentially in terms of the elite teams so far in the season, has that oh dear factor. That's who we're playing. Both sides here has that oh no, will we do it again here? So at this point here, we're, let's just say, dangerously maybe on copyright infringement with a Britney Spears song, but let's hope it doesn't get that far.
I love that reference, but JB is gonna try and take this one forward. It's a bit poor from him, but he gets it past Nyx either way. Cram is gonna take this one forward here. RMD is gonna cut him out. JB to cut it out here. Nyx on the back end. He's gonna take it to the side, but a very poor touch. We'll see him not able to follow it up. RMD has to bail him out. Slumpy gonna try and save the day here, but he actually sets up Thornhill. And even though the shot wasn't as good as you might have wanted it to be, it will be good enough to open the scoring here in Game 3.
I'm sorry, but that's just poor. That is poor by RMG. You have 36 boost there, back post rotation. No, hello, the big 100, come to me. Why? You're in a play-ins match. You can't afford for mistakes here. You talk about getting back into the game here, and you've just given Deception, quite simply, a 1-goal lead out of nothing.
Yep, and it almost turned into 2 right there. But Slumpy, able to do what RMD couldn't right before, is able to keep that ball out of the net. Nyx on the counter here is gonna force the ball towards RMD, who is gonna take his time here, which I do like. He's gonna pop it on the backboard. Follow-up touch not as good. Nyxo biding his time, but he gets a bit ahead of the play. He isn't gonna follow it up. RMD is gonna be able to get there this time, but another follow-up shot, and it will be RMD. Kind of going on a redemption arc right here, Danny, trying to make up for that mistake, but will it be enough? They still need to open their scoring here.
There's a difference of making enough for redemption, and in my eyes, Vale, there's 2 complete different standards there, and that's a triple commit by Deception. But, you know, that earlier play by Nyxo, not believing Slumpy's back pass. I mean, if you're going to be in a position, you've got to believe that it's coming. If you don't, why are you there? Again, that's sort of half a split decision. How good is that scrim? How good is potentially the coaching? And that shot goes straight on through.
There was, to be fair, you could say a lot of bad things here.
I could, and I would.
If there's one good takeaway, I was looking at RMD's perspective there. Did you see how Nyxo was creeping up and RMD was like, no, I'm gonna do it myself. I'm gonna put that ball in the back of the net. That is what you need, and perhaps he might be trying to strike in some inspiration into Nyxo, but it won't matter right now because JP will find one back down the other end.
Oh, we got 2 highly different opinions on that one, Vale. Creeping up 2 people in the same spot here, unless there's a reason for calling somebody off it, it's poor. And the fact that Stumpy's left his 3rd man here for that quick goal from kickoff. Team Shireen, wakey. This is play-ins.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That demo won't do much as Thornhill finds his way through. Nyxo will take it to his corner here, and he will get a good beat here. But I'm interested to see how he handles this one. It's just gonna leave it for Slumpy. But all 3 players on the left side of the field here. Not much follow-up. RMD gets completely beat out. That means Nyxo has to jump the gun to try and bail them out. Slumpy on the side here has some time to work with. I'm imagining he will try and set up his teammate here. He's gonna try and 50 it, but that's just not good enough, except for if RMD can squeeze it through. It will land to Nyxo, but once again, just not able to get a good enough finish to seal the deal.
There are 2 half chances. They still have possession here, but he's overextended. Nyxo should be a backboard raid, and he scuffed that one so bad. I see Vale literally had his hands literally covering his face just the moment Nyxo jumped there. I'll tell you this here, I was teammates with him. Unfortunately, thankfully, due to broadcast, I can't say the words he normally would. Deception, you've got a 2-goal buffer because you know Shireen's going to throw another goal at some point away here. That's it there too. Now it's certainly game deception.
Indeed it is. It's a strong kickoff from Thornhill, but Slumpy just getting a bit ahead. He doesn't know what to do. Will he close the gap and go for a challenge, or will he try and defend the net? Ends up doing neither. Just turns his back and starts throwing it back like Miley. And in the end, it will be a 4th goal for Deception in this game.
Well, Joe, if you have a prediction, if it's in favour of Deception, it'd be a happy sort of smile, because the indicator so far, marker of the last 2 games, on paper, it was close. You can argue, say, Deception was somewhat warming up. We said they weren't playing their best here. Deception's got the better through Team Shireen's mistake here. 1 demo by RMT. Slumpy's bump, and there's a few that's on the other side of the pitch here. But what, give or take, about 60 seconds left here. They scored 3 goals at this point. If I was Stingray, I would be looking putting that 2 on the board already.
Yeah, look at RMD here though, trying to set up his teammate, but once again that follow through just not coming. Nixo is gonna try and get one, but he ends up faking out Slumpy, who thought he for sure would get a touch here. And that is a 5th goal for Deception. And once again, it looked like a surefire save from Okami, but they're just not able to do anything here.
Like, this game's done. There's no saving it. And at this point here, if you're Shireen, you'd be sort of going, how do you adjust and how do you hit the approach of your Deception? You'd be going, oh, I hope they play the same way again. Because if you keep playing this or that type of level of performance here, and you allow your opposition to make the mistakes, and arguably here 3 of those goals was their own forced error, you'd be sitting there saying this is a free match.
Yeah, there's no arguing that. Deception has set here, and they haven't really shown me that they've been an exceptional team. It's just Okami has just completely taken their foot off the gas. They've just started playing very poor. Slumpy gonna try and change that up, but once again the ball falls in the opposition's hands. Graham is gonna keep the pressure on here. Slumpy with a poor clearance that sets up Thornhill with a great shot, but arguably that one should have been saved as well, but not to be, Danny.
I don't like Deception. I wrote 5-1 on my sheet and they decided to score. Come on. Make the night easier for the rest of us. You know, if you're in that situation, you'd be sitting there saying, you know, this is, you know, perfect for them. If you sat there and literally sit there and say, how good is the moment of it, you just have to look at the scoreline. You just look at the way they're approaching it. And you know what? Deception has sat deep for the majority of the match here. They essentially said to Team Shireen, come at us, without taking them out of the game here or brought a defender out. And essentially they've been hitting on the counter consistently. And it's been poor from Shireen. They'll know that themselves. Yeah,
but we've both obviously played in the playoffs. I was going to say, would this be a time to call a timeout? It has indeed been called, but I want to ask that question anyways, Danny. After a performance like this, it might just only be 2-1 in the series, but when you pull a performance like that, would you say a timeout is needed?
No, I wouldn't say it's needed just yet. If it was the best of 5 format, I would have definitely called it. At 7, you'd be going, do you know what, you're going to forward, essentially let the next game run. But, you know, if you're talking RLCS level, it was about 60-70% this season win rate, so you were guaranteed, I think it was the overall, it's about 90. So it was a bit of a freak in terms of numbers. But, you know, if you're Shireen here, and I'll put it this way kindly, I don't know if they have a coach. I don't know outright what they're trying to look at. But, you know, you brought RMD in at, you know, roster lock here. You've got that vast amount of experience, you know, and you make it count here. You're relying on a player like that there to say the next would say to Slumpy, here's what we've got to change. So in the next swap, essentially what, 1 minute 30, what do you say?
From what I understand, they don't have a coach sitting with them. They do have, however, a sub sitting with them, if I understood correctly.
Yeah.
And it's very limited what you can tell from watching a stream here and, you know, seeing the rotations. From what I've seen, it's just been a lot of whiffs. It's been the inability to follow each other up, you know, place that trust. You gotta get that confidence up for the whole team. You gotta get them talking with each other. And you just gotta get that gameplay more fluid and you gotta believe, because if you don't believe, how do you get your way back in after a game like that, Danny?
Yeah, and the worst thing is, you know, if you're in that situation here, it's belief in terms of yourself, what can you do and what you can achieve, and understand the situation. And arguably the biggest fear at the moment is not knowing what to do. And if you have, you know, Nixo, Stumpy, and RMD under the pressure and not there, it's recognizing the threat. What is that adjustment? What is that change? Or what are we struggling? And if they are as good as players that they have been in the past, they should be able to do it. It's then Deception's job at that point to destroy all hope.
Indeed it is. There is 20 seconds left on the clock for that pep talk to come in. We did see the players try and join a bit early here, so it didn't look like they wanted to use those whole 2 minutes, Danny. We do look like we are about to get in. It does look like the timeout is about done here. So let's see what they did talk about. Let's see how they make it happen on the pitch here, Danny. And I'll give you the honor. Take us into this game 4.
Thank you very much, and good luck to any player. If I'm casting them, letting them back on the pitch here, like, ain't happening. And so what, if you're experienced enough, you'll be glad for that little bit of a 2-minute respite when it does appear, unless you want momentum. And Nixo using exactly that word from the kickoff, trying to attack straight through. Deception been trying to be pinned in through the serene attack here as RMD continues the second phase of play. Bump achieved. Thorn gets essentially the cover here, slump removed off the play, and Team Serene once again all in line here. If it was 4 on the pitch, we can literally call them Connect 4 at that point.
Indeed you could. Cram is gonna get a good 50 here. Thornhill gets beaten out, but a bit of an overcommit from Slumpy makes the whole team awkward, and once again you see them stacking up very closely together. It doesn't show me that they have that belief that area on the pitch where their teammate is gonna be covered, and we see a double commit coming through. It is on target, which might bail them out for now. Nixo is gonna cut it out. That demo is found, and Slumpy can find the back of the net. It might have been scrappy here, Danny boy, but they do get the end product this time.
That's sometimes what you need if it's you match on ability or slightly a bit under. You know, Jorby on the RLCS, I hate the phrase, delete them. Well, that's what they've done there. No defender, easy chance for a tap, and they might want a second one here, and they would get it too. It'd be Deception answering the question that Team Serene failed to do, and JB, credit to him. 2 excellent saves to keep this one 1-0.
But that second save, was it really a save, Danny? I mean, he just posted up in the goal, and the ball was kind of just given to him, really. Barely had to do anything. However, they do manage to keep that shot out. They get another chance here though, and Slumpy from the backboard is gonna be caught off guard, and Cram will squeeze it through. So those 2 saves, well, they didn't lead to them conceding, and in the end it leads to a goal right down the other end.
And I thought I was going to be the harsh one here, saying that the shooting accuracy wasn't very good. Partly Veil's taken over my mantelpiece this evening. Unfortunately, Stumpy would love to be remaining on it as he continues there. Off the ball continued by RMD, likewise the Nixo. So all 3 had chances to be on the ball, but that's all what it has been, the word a chance.
Yep, Slumpy gonna get the beat here, but it's gonna be Thornhill to pick it up. He will take it over Nixo here, but Slumpy on the back end will take control of this one. JB causing a bit of disruptions, even able to get the bump onto RMD, but Slumpy doing everything himself down the other end is gonna carry this one forward. The fake is there, but the follow-up too late, and it will be a quick counter-attack here, but it will be cut out by Nixo, who I've been needing to see do well in defense, even gets the bump here. And Okami are looking like they're becoming a unit again. I won't say that they are playing to the best of their capabilities, but they're suddenly starting to work together more than we saw in the last game. This big clearance here could be a chance. Slumpy gonna fake him out, gonna take it to the corner here, gonna take it to the backboard, will get it across, and RMD, who is waiting in the middle, will just get a freebie, and all of a sudden Okami has come alive again, Danny.
Who blinks when that was essentially there. Well played to Slumpy to delay it. But on your very own point here, they're looking much more like a team. In playoffs, play-ins, you have to play all 3 to the best of your ability. And that's what Serene needs more so, is that team element here. That's 1, 2, and 3. Nixo not able to slot it home here. And to go back to your point in game 2 here, Vale, you know, Nixo's been somewhat more the third man so far here. He's allowed the other two to be enabled. And if you knew Nixo as well as I have, that idea is just preposterous. It is, though, the case tonight.
Yep. And he's definitely looking more comfortable in that third man role here in this game than he has been in the other two. Slumpy's gonna get set up by Nixo as a first man here though. Won't lead to much, and that beat onto RMD. That's a lot of boost on the side of Okami that you take out of the equation, but that's a very big cutout by RMD. JB is gonna try and set up his teammate here. Makes Thornhill very awkward here, and it will be forced middle, but JB just can't find the follow-up here. Pressure though, however, is still kept, but a nice cutout by Nixo. Sees them go down the other end, but not to be anything right here. Cram will just be able to clear it down the other end, and all of a sudden this has turned into ping pong, Denny.
Oh no! Ping pong? I think that one's an oopsie daisy, mind you, as that one served right by them.
Yeah, it's a poor clearance. And the pass off the backboard, it's just, they just make it look easy, really.
You sound so defeated there. Yeah, it did. I ain't impressed.
Well, you know, the pass was good and the shot was good. I will give them credit for that, but that clearance just needs to be better, Danny.
Are you telling me that you want a defensive game in the elite tier?
It doesn't have to be completely defensive, but if you have a good defensive backend, then that sets up, you know, better offensive plays for both teams for those goals that you see happen.
Well, good thing you weren't watching rival tier. You know, quite, 5, 6, 7s or 9 type scorelines being thrown around here. Defense wasn't a thought during that particular play-ins and playoffs last week here. RMD were looking to continue the threat that he's once created here. God, it goes for Slumpy to hover around here on the right-hand side. Low boost, and Nixo with the only one with the tank of boost, and that's cut. Yes, it's good, and RMD, bit of advice. You're on the blue side, and the big rectangle with the blue colour in, don't put it in there.
Yep, but they do get away with it this time, Danny. However, I hope that we don't have to see that again. Nixo with a great kickoff here, only has one to beat, has the boost to get the flick, will get the flick, and it will hover on the goal line, and it will be Nixo credited for that goal. And what a kickoff from him. You talked about you wouldn't want to see him as a third man. Well, all of a sudden he's playing that first man role, and he's making it look easy for him.
Joe, I feel sorry for the defenders to some degree here. In fact, it's clipped the woodwork the way it did and bobbled. You might feel a bit of injustice, but Serene, they might feel like they deserve the victory here. They were in the lead for the majority of it. But either way of it, I'm not going to sit here and get bogged down on it. It is 2-2 in the series-wise. Best of 7, race to 4. And suddenly here, both sides might be looking at and sort of going, right, this is ours here.
Yep, both teams could argue is the stronger team. Okami, they could have had 3 on the board right here if they didn't throw it away in game 1. Not to be though, but Deception have had the most convincing win so far tonight, Danny, so I'm interested to see how both teams take that into game 5, because out of all the games we played so far, this might be the most important one. If you can get that match point, that double match point, it might make your opposition a bit more scared of what's to come.
Well, so far, the crucial bullet points or the highlights of the matchup. The opening game was an OT, 2 minutes 27. Serene did leave it. They were 1-0 down in the series. They won the second game, and we said at that time it felt critical. If they lost that, it got a bit, worrying. Some 6-1 defeat. Suddenly a timeout. They win the next one here. Had to go to another OT. And suddenly here they're in game 5 here. And it's always a case of they've let the game slip from their fingertips, where Deception, when they've got it, they haven't let go. It's a question on who wants it.
It will be Cram to open the scoring here. And it is JB to give it away to him. It's a great pass. Thornhill to lay it off. Cram just there to just slot it home. And everyone getting involved in that one. That's exactly what we want to see in these playoffs. Graham with the credit though.
Well, it might be what you'd be looking for. Slumpy is searching on the other side of this one. The pass was unfortunately on purpose. It was a clear to get away from it. Nixo so awkward. RMD's last man. He will be required to defend. Tipped away back into the box itself. And Slumpy moves across. And there hasn't been any easy double clears. RMD will do the cover up here. And Nixo will allow, hopefully, the man himself here to get the goal back into it.
Yep. It's a great play down for... it's a great play from Deception down one end, but this one also really good. Everyone getting involved, but was that a bit of a double commit I saw there from the side of Deception? I'm not sure if it could have been saved if he was in the goal, but we'll never know since a double commit did come through, Danny.
Are you telling me double commits are bad, Veal?
Well, it depends. If two people go up for the ball and at least one gets a touch, it might not be bad, but if two people go up and neither one gets contact, it for sure is.
Well, some people would have thoughts of it, but you can thank a former world champion with the attitude of Greasy Miser. It's double the sort of the success rate to get the chance right through. He was the man that popularised it. But Cramp, a straight pass, of course, a serene defence here. It was lingering at the 6-yard box. RMD's pass, essentially all but one. JB to the backboard. Slumpy's not there. And once again here, carrying themselves here through the entirety of this series here, has not followed up the second ball effectively. And they've allowed about 4 to 5 goals go a-begging.
And what a screamer that is from Nixo. It's a great 50 from RMD here. Nixo just calling that bluff from Cram and just getting an absolutely crazy angle to slot that one home. And all of a sudden, Okami have the lead once again, Danny.
They do, and to some extent here, I feel like there's an element of surprise to that. You know, we're used to them leading, but not from the back foot.
Yeah, and that's what got me surprised, because, you know, they conceded in the beginning. They immediately got one back, and then they looked more confident than ever right there with that play. Nixo just taking the chance and taking the shot on target, knowing very well that he will be very, very laid back if he doesn't score it. RMD, sorry, got the wrong person there. Almost slotted that home, not able to do so. And Nixo with a great save here. And you talked about you didn't want to see him as a third man. He's definitely started stepping up in that role.
Well, this sort of fifth game here has a feeling that both sides have flipped roles, that Serene is almost playing like a illusory in the third here. If that third goal went in, you can almost sense that it would have been a domino effect. It was Nixo over to Slumpy, no boost, but how much of Deception is aware of that one. 100 stolen by Nixo, no bump. RMD plows right on through, but it is JB with possession on the Blues' final thirds. And just like that there, RMD has to defend.
Yep, and here the counter comes for Okami. RMD to the corner, gets it on the backboard. Nixo should be there, puts it on the backboard for RMD. That just manages to sneak it through. Beautiful play from Okami there. You didn't really know when the shot was gonna come until it did. And brilliant play from them. Just absolutely making a fool of the defense from Deception there.
You just love it when you're a striker, when you see this defender essentially reverse stop and just look at the ball and going, I'm not getting it.
Yeah, when they've already given up before the shot even comes through. It's just beautiful.
Suffering when you just cannot get it. And this time it is Serene dishing it out here. 1 minute 30, but it's almost the Team Serene's curse at the moment. They throw away leads when you least expect it at times, and that's goal number 4. This is essentially game 3 reparceled.
It really is. We saw a lot of defensive mistakes from Okami, Team Serene, in that game, and all of a sudden, it's just been flipped on its head. All of a sudden, Deception looks like the team that just doesn't have the clickingness, that they don't have the team play needed to make the clock tick. RMD is gonna beat his man here. Krem, though, gets a lot of control on this ball, but it's very poor from him. Slumpy's just diving in to get that offensive pressure back. opting to rotate ball side though, and that makes RMD very awkward here. But he does do well on the clearance. However, Krem still having an opportunity, but RMD just having none of it, and Slumpy with an open net here opts to pass it to Nixo. Not able to find the target. RMD to follow up is able to find the target, but it is going to be straight on the defender. And all of a sudden, Deception might get one back here if Thornhill can do well here. It's off the crossbar, but it's saved by RMD, and it's cleared down the other end. And Deception, well, it was a great play, but nothing to show for it, Danny.
So far, they haven't. And there it is, Stumpy 5-1. I don't love the description, as you said earlier, the clickiness of it. Well, this is the dance for Okami themselves here. It's a 6-7-8, and the dance steps are certainly moving. And Gio Watts here, it's getting better and better.
It is. Kickoff going to RMD here. He's just gonna bang it. JB up very early. It might have cut him off, but a double commit and even a very poor touch there will see that offense dying out. RMD gonna bang it straight back though. Krem gonna be under pressure. It's a double commit, but it is gonna be a decent double commit, I will say. However, it is gonna be too little too late. JB gonna try and get the momentum back, because that game 6 is gonna be crucial for Deception. They need to get straight back into it. However, Okami looking to do even more so here. Nixo with a pretty weak shot. Krem will be able to take it to the side. Slumpy on the follow-up will not end it. Here it will touch the ground though, Danny. And Okami, out of nowhere, starting to look like a really, really strong team in this matchup.
Yeah, like Okami, I wrote 5-1 and I didn't score. See, that's all what it is. You know, I'm a simple man, but what is even the case of it? Deception timeout has been called by them. It's their turn to essentially play their joker for extra time. And, well, you said it yourself, and you were alluding to the fact of this point here. It's the first time Deception, you know what, is under question here. You know, pretty much you could argue for the most of this match and series, they have been the better side. The series scoreline does not show that.
I did say early on that Okami looked stronger in the first 2 games. However, they did throw the first one away. But Deception were the only real team that showed me that they had what it takes to just completely dominate this series in that game 3. But yeah, every single game they were able to just immediately go into the next one. This time, however, it's gonna be a bit more of a difficult one. It's gonna be about getting that mental back. We talked about it for Okami, but I think it's gonna be even more difficult for Deception here. They had nothing to show for this last game here.
Well, you know what, there's been sort of 2 or 3 moments that I did not appreciate from players at the moment. And a pet hate is when a player, you know, chats in the middle of the series, whether it's on Twitch, Twitter, that there, you know, you have a series and focus on it. And I won't name which player that was, or in the middle of the series say, get the camera on, we want our reactions. Essentially, you're sort of going, you're in the middle of the series. Take the time, relax, get yourself in the sort of the right headspace. You know, am I getting too old here, Bill?
I think it's not about being too old, I don't think. I think you're absolutely right. You do need to get into this series. However, you could argue that different players is going to have different tactics to get into that headspace, Danny. I think some people enjoy the attention. That's their kind of way to kind of get rid of that pressure that they might be putting on themselves. And other people, as you say, they might just need to sit there and just start breathing, start gathering their thoughts, and just get themselves into it. And I think that might just be what it is.
Certainly so, and you know, every player is different, and you know, a good person, a good manager or coach will work with somebody and get the best out of them. And Deception, I mean, they have Snow there in the sort of the background in terms of management. I would be surprised to some degree if Rahu hasn't worked with that team in terms of working, you know, with that sort of franchise, and Orky has been there since its beginning, since its inception itself. How do you get in this situation? How do you get yourself out of it? Because you're on Neo Tokyo. It is game number 6. Loser goes out. It's as simple as that.
Indeed it is. Deception, one last chance to keep their life in this series. Okami, they have given themselves 2 opportunities to get this series over and done with and move on to Darkness. It is the team that is waiting for whoever wins this one. And if you're on Okami, crucial that you ended right here, so you give yourself at least a little time to get ready for the next one. However, it will be Cram to open the scoring, but we did see that last game. Do you think that this is how this game will stay on? Do you think Okami will find their way back in like they did last game?
No.
No, it is. We do have another kickoff though, Danny, to maybe get that answer.
Oh, I love doing that, especially with somebody who's never worked with me before, because that's go. And is there more? Well, so unfortunately, history has not been kind to it. It's only happened really once. So Okami has, came back, and that's, you'd be looking essentially in the last game to do so. And unfortunately, if you're in that situation here, in essentially a match point, win this and you're going to the next series, don't concede in the opening few seconds, in the opening minutes. Give yourself time and put the pressure onto it. You've essentially allowed Deception at least one free goal here.
Yep, and now you gotta get straight back into it. I like the idea from RMD there, however, not able to squeeze it through. Slumpy will be able to, and will force Cram to take that pinch to get the clearance. Even gets the boost on his way out. Will get demoed for his efforts though. Now Nixo looks like he will be taking this one over. Forces the pinch, RMD to follow up. Not able to do much here though. Slumpy's gonna try and center it, but it will just be JB waiting at the end of it. It's gonna take it away from the players of Okami. Forcing it into Slumpy. Thornhill with the chance on goal here, but not to be this time. And once again, it will be cut out early, but can RMD make anything happen here? It won't be good enough off the back, but that clearance is really bad, Danny, and that could have been it. A great shot, but an even better save from Cram right there.
And so off the back wall by JB, the ball was essentially a few millimeters away from being tapped on in. RMD's poked it high. Slumpy moves to the cross here, and Veil with the smug looks are going, I told you there's a possibility.
I mean, there's always going to be an possibility. Okami, they found their way straight back into this game like we've seen so many times in this series. Well, I say that, I think that's the second time it's happened, so I might just be completely lying. Nixo is going to take it forward here. It's a great chance, but he gets demoed before he can make anything happen. Now JB going to take it up his backboard, but essentially passes straight to RMD, but he's not going to find a teammate. Nixo will somehow manage to beat the opposition off the corner here. RMD gonna try and get it towards the center, not getting the follow-up. Slumpy keeping the pressure on though, but Nixo too slow to it. And that will be the offensive pressure from Okami done, and that's a bit of a mistake, Danny.
That whole session was a mistake. Nixo arguably didn't have to go for it, RMD. The moment you commit there, you're last man, and you're essentially inviting for that type of shot to occur. You have to sort of, in that split second, go like that. And suddenly you're back on the other foot here. You're back in somewhat into Deception here. We've got to, hammer their net here, break it open to go back to 2-2. And you know what? It's really only happened twice this series when it's been close. And Team Shireen has nicked it. That's the second and the fourth game. But don't forget, one of them went to OT.
Indeed it did. RMD is gonna get the save here. Gonna try and take it up the side wall. Gets the fake on the first person. Gets the beat on the second. Fakes out the flip reset, but JB is into the know. He doesn't know exactly what he's trying to do there, and he will cut it out. Cram on the other end. He's gonna take it to the corner, but that's a great touch by RMD. Not able to follow it up though, so Slumpy has to bail him out. It's gonna take it to that corner. RMD overextending a little bit. Nixo has to be called in, and does so brilliantly. On the back end here, Okami, can you deal with this pressure? Can so for now, but the pressure stays on, and Deception starting to build up, and the team bomb comes through, and out of nowhere, Deception gets a freebie again, Danny.
That's diabolical. Oh, jeez. That frustrates me. You don't need to make that mistake. You I understand a bit of pressure, but but that's just a lack of communication. That's just a bit of, do not dismiss yours. Just breathe, take your time, relax, use your eyes. And that's a wide open net here, as somebody get on to the other end of it, and Slumpy will eventually do it, but it's RMD that's done the work there.
Yeah, and I don't even know what to say, Danny. I mean, in the dying moments, this game has just turned into a game of pressure. Who can handle it? who can manage to not give away free goals to the opposition, really. And so far, Deception, they have the better end, but look at this kickoff. Nixo looking to do what he did in last game once again, will end up setting RMD up beautifully, and all of a sudden, those mistakes doesn't really matter. You have an open game once again. Everyone could win this game.
Remember at the end of last season, speaking to RMD, I said to him, do you get fed up winning championships? His response was simply, no. Well, he doesn't know when it's over. That's certainly true. And it's 3 goals apiece here, and if this one runs on in here, you'd just be questioning it. You know, this is meant to be his off-season in quotations, according to the league chat. Nixo, however, off the line. Cram 4, 3 to Serene.
How many times, Danny? How many times are we gonna overcommit as the last man and just give a free goal away? It's getting too much here, and I don't want to bet. I'm not a gambling man, but I do think that the kickoff goal could be in the hands here. Doesn't look like it will be this time. Slumpy is gonna take a touch here though. Only has 2 to beat. Will set up RMD here. Not able to get on the end of it though. Nixo with a great touch, and Cram doing donuts on the backboard will be able to get to the ball in the end. Thornhill will get dunked by Slumpy. RMD is gonna keep this one in. Fakes it for Nixo instead, and a bit of a whiff comes through. And the backflip as well to make it even worse. Slumpy will get the save though. Gives another chance for Okami to get back into this. But Thornhill is just gonna make it as hard as possible for them.
I certainly will. Okami's just got to realise they've got about 30 seconds still with at least a chance to come through. That is on target. And it's RMD back in the middle. Nixo, he hasn't been playing on the hymn sheet with the entirety of the team. But hallelujah at last. He has put it top left and a chance to maybe win the series outright.
Picture perfect placement, Danny. That's a shot that I've been dreaming of getting to cast. Perfectly placed. No way are you saving that one. Sure, there was a defensive error before it, but it doesn't matter. The finish is absolutely clinical. Slumpy gonna test out Cram here. RMD to take it away. Thornhill and JB both committing on this one. They're really throwing everything they can on getting a goal here. Maybe RMD will be able to do it in regulation though, setting up Slumpy, but a bit of a whiff means we do have overtime, Danny.
It's what teams want, the opportunity to win, and it will be Okami to have that opportunity. And that could have been an own goal by Thornhill. That would have been a mistake and a half. Back in the box it goes though. Deception. They've got a clean touch out only to RMD. He knows how to make teams struggle. And unfortunately haven't wiggled their way out of this one. Nixo from the ceiling to the back wall itself here, and JB will launch that one down, but there's the man himself to throw it back in.
Indeed, Slumpy gonna now try and lay it off to Nixo. Gets the beat. Will he get the follow-up touch? No, but he will make it very awkward for Thornhill, who doesn't manage to get a great touch. That's in front of the net. But a great clearance from JB, but they're still under a lot of pressure here. They need to find a way out of defense. A demo comes through, JB on 0 boost. Cram gets given a freebie here. Save from Slumpy is good enough. And RMD will try and carry this one forward. It will have to be Nixo to bail him out though, and a great 50 from him. RMD with the shot, not on target, but it will put Cram under pressure. Onto the backboard here, a triple commit. The save comes through. Into the corner, JB, you need to get out. Can't do so. Nixo will try and do his work, but the pressure just dying out from both teams here, and now we found our way into a midfield scramble here, Danny.
And Nixo straight there, there's a demo, and there it is. It's a typical sweep straight through. He's hungry for the demo. There's people that once said in Twitch chat, oh, who's going to glaze Cram? RMD certainly will. That was tasty. So will be Okami's victory too. But it took them 6 games. But arguably, they have a match against, mind you, Team Shadow themselves, the franchise. They might be feeling a tad bit lucky they're even there.
Maybe they will, maybe they will. I know exactly what man will face off against these, and well, I'm gonna be watching on the sidelines, Danny, because I don't know what to expect. I mean, we both expected Okami to go out right here. They do get another chance, at making a run in playoffs, and I'm sure you will be looking forward to casting that. But before we go there, some series stats on the screen. Only one goal to differentiate them there. And how poetic is it that it's Team Serene to edge out the other team by just a single goal, Danny?
It seems to be the Team Serene way here, sort of the ethos that it has been in the last couple of seasons from them. But do you know what here? I would argue on paper Deception was the better team. They might not be happy, and I wouldn't blame them if they left their VC. But one goal being the difference, that, it's poetic to some degree. It's just the question is who's the MVP. I would have a feeling that it could be Slumpy RMD here.
You are wrong, Danny. It will be RMD. Wait, is that Slumpy?
No,
Am
it's
I wrong?
RMD.
Okay, I thought you said Slumpy RMD. That's what threw me off there. But he does have 7 goals to his name, 5 assists, and 7 saves. And they had, what, 21 goals? Was it 29? I can't remember.
Well, it doesn't really matter. They're only numbers. The main one is the series victory anyway. This is hilarious coming from the guy that doesn't care about statistics, but there it is. But you know what? It's nearly sort of past the hour itself, Veal. And you know what? Here, there's still plenty more action to come here.
Yeah, exactly. We do have Darkness Okami waiting after this one. And after that, at Lakoya Barney. However, we do have to go on a bit of a break. I'm sure you will like as much time as possible to get ready for the next series. So without further ado, I have been Veiled, and you will have Danny Boy for the rest of the night. But however, I will have to leave after this one. So I hope you all enjoy it, and we'll see you right after the break.
Do you struggle to rank up in Rocket League? Are you stuck in Diamond while your other friends flex their SSL title? Well, look no further. I have partnered up with LTXAcademy as a coach, and we are ready to boost your gameplay. With multiple tournaments and trophies won and thousands of dollars earned, I will tailor to your needs and make sure you get to that next level. I'm also doing discounted prices for the first 10 days, so you do not want to miss out. And you are also probably thinking,
CMOS, how do I book a session with you?
well, that's easy. Just open up that fancy browser of yours, type medify.gg/@cmasorl_, pick a session to your liking, book a time, and bang, you're booked, and I'll see you in the call. Once again, that's medify.gg/@cmasorl_.
This isn't just merch, it's what teams wear when they mean business. Every stitch, every print, every detail, made to perform. Trusted by the grind, from grassroots to championship halls. Build your team store. Wear the brand that wins. SpartanWare, trusted by the grind.
Well, what a all over the place kind of series that was that we just witnessed, Danny. And we've got another. I was going to use the word blockbuster, but I feel like that's a bit of a not the best way of describing what's coming up here. Have you got a better word for this one?
It was a series.
Yeah,
I think it's the best way of putting it, but I don't think many teams would be expecting me to be gentle for the elite or master tier play-ins. I only showed up for the rival because somebody just dropped out last second, but there's very little to somewhat talk about in terms of what previously happened that we didn't already discussed here, other than the fact that Serene is playing against Shadow essentially. So the question really at this point here, where are we going next here in this sort of potential Serene pathway?
That is the question, and right now they face Shadow Darkness here in our current match that we are about to witness between these two teams. And, you know, we've got the likes of Akami who just took down Illusory Deception there. I know you didn't have them winning that. They were able to overcome it, but we're ready to get this one started. So let's just ignore the predictions. Let's ignore everyone's opinions. And, I mean, let's just get the players on the pitch here, Danny, because that's what we all want to see. We want to see some good Rocket League. And let's, I'm not sure if we're going to see good Rocket League after what I've just watched, but we'll get some Rocket League here either way, and then you can be the judge of that one.
Well, I love how everybody presumes that I'm going to be judgmental and harsh and rude and, you know, not say anything nice.
Yep. All right then. Well, we'll see. We'll see. It's usually what seems to happen, but into this game we go, and it's already a little bit of hesitance on the side of Darkness. You see 3 players all grouped up at the front post. Maybe a little bit of nerves trying to get out of the way early on here, but see who's going to strike first. And I mean, for this Shadow team, right, it's been quite the topsy-turvy season, from being first in the tier to some roster changes. And, well, then a little bit more unknowingness after that. But they're looking to fight back, and they're looking to show that they can still get it done here in the play-ins. Not quite scoring just yet, but certainly some good chances off of the kickoff.
Well, when you have a season where there is, shall we say, complications, you know, it's hard to deal with, and, you know, good rosters will always find a way. And Mithril has been far too experienced with an RSC to know what to do and adjust here. That's into the box, mind you, but let's not be sort of unfair in the situation here. Team Serene themselves, Akami, they really had the last second roster change, no more than about 12 hours before deadline day itself. If anything here, it should be the other way, this conversation here. Okami is the lineup with the least amount of game time experience.
Certainly the case. What kind of experience can they bring to this field? I mean, when you look at some of the players on this team, right, you've got RMD. It just is the definition of experience in Elite at this point, but let's see, that might not be a factor because Liam's on the ball. What a save from Slumpy to keep that one out. Akami holding on the defensive side, but also going to look to try and fight back because that pressure, it's going to continue. And, well, Shadow going to be quite happy to make that happen. Liam over to Lynx. That's a great touch into the back of the net. And it's first goal here for Shadow.
And unfortunately, Team Serene once again feeling what it likes to concede. It's the same issue no more than a few moments ago against Deception. All 3 on the wrong side of the pitch. And frankly, it took them really 2 and a bit games to find somewhat familiar ground. And then they forgot. Now they've got to recapture what they already worked out no more than about 20 minutes ago.
Already, it seems like Shadow are right back on the attack, looking to try and double up on their lead, but maybe Serene have other ideas. RMD with a reset, pass over to Nixo, and it is a link up from Serene. You talked about the experience. There's hardly any of it. Doesn't matter.
Oh, I'm not going to get into the argument about experience and where and what it's from. At this point here, and I'll just be very polite in what I'm about to say. I've got more comments about my beard than me returning to the commentary booth. And you know, at this point here, there's a few greys somewhere there. I'm surprised that hasn't been brought up and mentioned as well. But RMD, he'll be certainly looking at his trophy count and looking to get the polish out. And shall we say, number 4 on it. Well, Big Merv could have been the first 4 time. RMD could likewise be in that sort of conversation. And Slumpy, well, he's got a soft touch here, and he had a turbulent season, you know, no more alongside Nixo as well. And, you know, that debate between him and, I believe it was Serenity and all that lineup, who was the sub, who was going to play and all that. join forces to make this our campaign this season here through the draft. And you know what? It has worked wonders this so far.
Yeah. And, well, you know, about that beard, maybe I'll keep some comments, you know, in the list for the rest of the evening. I'll see if I can get one lodged in somewhere. But, I mean, what is going on? That shouldn't have been as close as it was, but still, it's pandemonium here for Serene. Everybody's jumping. It's like a bouncy castle here in the defense. And, well, thankfully they are able to find some stabilization, able to maybe take some of the air out of Darkness's sort of attack here, but look to maybe go back on attack of their own here. Slumpy, they drop it down, and it will fizzle back out to RMD, but not really that much of a threatening attack. And, well, Danny, I mean, I'm surprised that this one's still tied, I'll be honest.
Well, I'm not. The way that, you know, both sides will be approaching this game, it will be heavy hitting the way Mithril has done for number season. It is attack, not essentially at all costs here, but it is the primary motive of how that lineup goes. Links, likewise, through his career has been similar. Liam alongside it with Symbiotes back, what, 4 or 5 seasons ago when Moggy. That was a side that certainly knew how to play pure aggressive Rocket League. It was simple as that here. Now, mind you, in all between this conversation, Serene should have been 2-1 up. Now they could be on the likelihood of conceding it here.
Yeah, very well might be the case. Final 30 seconds underway. And Slumpy just to try and guide this one around a couple of players. And Mithril trying to recover that play over to Nixo, who to try and take on that first challenge. But it will go back out to Mithril. Shadow looking to put together an attack here in the final couple of seconds. And, well, I mean, it's still looking a little bit chaotic here for Serene. They're finding a little bit trouble to get this one cleared away. And they've got to avoid these demos. They've got to have someone going for that ball. Because if you just leave it unchallenged and give this team of Shadow the space that they need to work with, it will just all end in a clattering bang into Nixo and a shot into the back of your net. That was horrible.
You know what? I thought I was going to be the cruel cast today. Vale and Hodge, you've been certainly taking nice or bits off it. Horrible.
Well, I've got to make you seem less mean and maybe take some of the load off you there. You know, got to balance it out.
No, I've been in the retirement home. Been cranky in there for a period of time. But you know what? Here, the way, and again, this is again how the last series went, mind you, with Deception. 2 minutes 27 to OT in game 1. The difference is Okami led in the opening. Compared to this time here, they had to come back from it. But again, you know, Okami's like, you know, that sort of young kid with a bike. It's got its stabilizer and somehow it's lost it while riding. And it's just wobbling around here. At some point you've got to wonder, lose the other stabilizer and learn how to ride, or at some point stop and reset. Yeah,
does very much seem like the case. We will be getting into game number 2 here, Danny, and as Shadow Darkness have taken the first game, Okami, I mean, you know, sometimes in these situations, you're looking at that team who's just played and already had that momentum to win some of these early games, get themselves on the board before that team in, you know, the 4th place seed who sat and essentially waited, can really get on the board and get the ball rolling. Are you a little bit concerned maybe here for Okami already, or like, do you think Darkness is going to maybe start to run away with this one, or do you reckon that Okami has still got a path back into this one?
I think anybody be sort of looking at this sort of series, you've got to take your time and patience on it. You shouldn't be rushing or worrying it too much outright. Plus, it's only the opening game here, and I believe it might be a sort of a server recreation here, if correct. So hence, you know, it does give us sort of chance and time here to talk about sort of the game more and everything else, because frankly, you know, you could be sitting there and saying, you know, what they should be doing different or the approach of it. They were leading the game, you know, from the beginning here, you know, Shadow. They'd done what they had to. Darkness was there. But they weren't convincing. It wasn't a case of domination. There was, what, 3 minutes here we thought, you know, Team Serene could have had it 2-1 themselves.
Yeah, certainly. And you say we don't jump to conclusions. So I thought that was the territory we're in, and we're already, you know, in play-ins round 2 talking about RMD getting another trophy. But we'll see. It's still a long road, but if anyone can do it, then is that man on Team Serene right there. And, you know, you talked about it being the off-season for RMD's trophy streak. Going to look to try and prove that wrong. But into game number 2 we go, and, well, we'll see how both of these teams are going to fare.
I remember last season the interview on another sort of community channel or franchise channel. A certain Hodge was on it, and he said at the time to the relative players that won that final, where RMD was on that lineup, and sat there and said, "Would you sing if you won in the grand final?" In the interview here, is that the case of RMD hasn't done it yet because he's afraid of singing?
You know what? Might be true. Might be true. I mean, I only made that promise to Trout, but hang on a second. That's a touch from Nixo. It's we might not be singing the songs here in the grand finals interview yet, but certainly singing a little bit of I guess a warning harmony here. Our Team Serene, they've fired a couple of shots and gonna look to try and continue that, slotted into some goals. But hang on a second, why is nobody covering that? It's a little bit panicky from Team Serene, it seems here, Danny, and Shadow. They're going to be quite happy to just sit back and allow the mistakes to come through, because we've already seen a couple of them so far.
Certainly so, and I'm surprised that chance was even allowed here, and since I'm going to be the grumpy old man on every broadcast, it seems, as the youth has taken over the RSC commentary. I mean, if you want to talk about the elite tier, the history and defending, there was no better defender than Eagle Crane himself. The man was a brick wall, went to semi-finals, made life absolutely difficult. And he took pleasure knowing that, because he had, as the kids would say, aura. That was before even that word existed. He was the man that if you had on your roster, you could make a run. Well, RMD offensively can be that player. If only we could have maybe the old, shall we say, time machine that link those two together. Mind you, time's ticked by. It's been goalless so far.
Yeah, goalless so far for both of these teams. And, well, we'll see. Is that one just going to drop in? There's no way this is a goal, and it's not! How is that one not a goal? Mithril keeps it away. Shadow get away, counting their lucky stars.
I prefer magic stars.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's words to describe how close that was to going in.
Well, that's certainly true, and Nixo wouldn't be liking the replay back because it was a backflip. I think maybe presumption on reading it. You just, simply knock it in, but it's not a Happy Gilmore film in the making here, as Lynx sends that one straight down here, and we should be, again, talking about kind of leading the game here, and that one's floating above the net. RMD to whip it away. And mind you here, Darkness, they're building on something here.
They are, but it will be sent back to their corner, and they'll have the chance to maybe start getting themselves boosted up again, maybe looking to get an attack going. But as RMD tries to drop it down, just misses coming through from both teams. Just looking to scrap around in this midfield, try and kindle that possession. Will be dropped down by Nixo. Back into the middle. RMD up for this one. Great control here, but he has launched it away. But maybe only for a second. And Team Serene going to try and once again, Danny, just continue on their attacks. But when you miss the ball, things become... The spy? The spy. We found a spy in RSC. Yeah, so we're solo casting now. Sereno Kami dropping the first goal. Shadow Darkness going to be quite happy to walk away with that one, and they might get another one, but no, RMD should be back for it, and will be instantly challenged there by Liam. Looking to get on the end of it, but so far, so good for the side of Shadow, looking to double it down his Lynx. 40 seconds remaining. A crucial 40 seconds here for Team Serene as they look to try and fight back. And if they're not going to find a goal here, it will be 2-0 in the series for Shadow Darkness.
So the backboard itself here, quick read and pop. And slumpy shot straight at the defending wall there. Well, this game certainly will show its ugly surprises. We saw one there, RMD onto the ball at the back line here. And with 10 seconds left here, just to put in sort of encapsulating thought here, originally it was a slumpy mistake that misread here, and suddenly Serene going 2-0 down in the series were like this deception. You just sit there and, you know, wonder, you know, if you put your chances away here, it could have been quite easily on the other foot here. That's one of the worst mistakes I've seen in the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, it's certainly got to be up there. But you know, at this point in the game, life on the line, it can get to you, you know, and we will see. I would love to see if and have a look at the cameras and see if Danny left his chair and walked away when that happened. But I didn't think to pull up the caster cams here, Danny. Were you just sat there speechless, or did you actually get up and leave?
Let's just say I was biting my tongue.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm also getting a bit too old as well, so the old you know, getting out of the chair is a lot more difficult. I'm actually surprised, you know, Okami hasn't called a timeout here. They've actually somewhat taken the earlier conversation I had with Veal about, you know, if you feel like you're still in the series here, do you call it or not here? They're trusting their ability to essentially, you know, see the game out and through it. I'll put it simply here is, people will look at that and say that was RMD's fault. He shouldn't have panicked, yes, but he was put in that position. Now the question, really, they've got to somewhat settle down here and give themselves the chances. They're in the game, they're in the series, but you know, our heart can't take it anymore.
Yeah, we'll see. As will Akami save Danny Boy, or maybe it's going to be a demolition showdown here for Shadow. Already picking up one is Mithril as they look to try and open up space on an early attack here. Popped up, where's the follow? It's Mithril for Shadow who gets there, but it's well defended there by Serene, swept out by RMD, who looks for the musty pass over to Nixo, but Liam knew what was going on. Also looks to set it up down the other side. Slumpy Orchid in the defense. And it will be the first goal over to Shadow Darkness.
I've got to somewhat try to work out where Nixo went in the whole play. Settle down. Somebody wheel me out.
A little bit jumpy from Team Serene at the same time. Anything but for Danny Boy here alongside me. Lynx reset. Pass in field. Where's everyone going? It will drop in front there for Slumpy, who gets things sent off to the side, but it's popped up. Team Serene, a chance at an attack here. He's got past one. Slumpy looking to try and rewrite the wrongs, but it will just drop back out, and it's another chance for Serene that will go begging.
He done well, Slumpy, getting that over and at the angle as well. Nixo, mind you, his third man was bumped and out of the way here. So the fact that, you know, Team Serene has essentially recycled the ball from all that, they've at least achieved the main sort of plot line that they sort of set themselves up as that sort of constant going type team, and unfortunately the ball not being slotted home all 3 commits, so it's quickly run on back here, and you know, it's eventually you have to sort of throw the ball away, and that'll allow Darkness back into the game here.
Certainly will, and there should be a free ball for them to work with. It will go over the top of one. Nixo should have the same here on the other side. Free ball here for Serene, and the star man looking to make star plays, but can't quite find his teammate on that pass. It will head up over to this side wall where Lynx will be waiting. And Shadow, they've had a great series so far. Mithril wants to try and add to this goal tally, but swept away. Serene not having any of it, looking to see if they can score themselves a goal here on this attack, but Lynx just puts it to a stop. And Danny, it feels like every time Serene want to try and break through this defense, they just get stopped at the first little entry point.
It's their own rotation that has simply stifled their own attack, and you know what, everybody in terms of Darkness is sort of set up, we can see it, and they're not sort of panicking on it. They're allowing that toward deception for the most part actually made a mistake, you know, in key moments and let Team Serene into it. That's the difference so far. If you watch the 2 series, that's an excellent save by Nixo, who has for the majority of tonight has been shocking in that defensive position.
Well, we'll see if he can improved. Good signs there, but Slumpy trying to get it over the top of one. Will be taken off the pitch there. A bit of a demo trade. But popped up again. Slumpy there for the respawn. Nixo finding a demo into the back line. Slumpy not able to find any more value, and that's going to allow Lynx to put it past that first player. It's just congestion in this corner here, Danny. And once again, Shadow becoming the benefactors, and it's just Serene scrapping around, looking for anything, looking for some more life into this series, because right now they're being suffocated on every angle. Yes, you can sit here and look and go, yes, it's only a 1-goal lead, but the problem is, Serene, they have not scored a goal in forever, it feels like, and on the other side, it just feels like it's always a matter of time until Shadow find another.
The whole pace of Kami's just wrong, and it's sort of in between sort of the speed of their opposition and the ball here. That's sort of the desyncing, if you want to call it, in terms of how they're approaching it. And it's allowed that second goal in here. Essentially, you talk about when the last time they scored here, you'd be talking since game 1. And that was to get themselves back into the game. And unfortunately, they haven't been able to do it in some time here. Essentially, 10 minutes of gameplay. They have yet to put that, big round thing into the net here, and some of these players have got around about 5 to 10k worth of hours in it. You would imagine they'd be familiar by this point.
We'll see. RMD put it on the back wall. Liam, it's a great touch away. Linkso trying to catch up to it, and it will just head out into this corner. RMD passing it over to Shadow, and I mean, yeah, it's not perfect here from either side, but time and time again, it is just this team of Shadow who are coming out on top in every aspect of this series, in every aspect of this game, in the 50s, in the possession, in the rotations. It seems like this series, to me, was sealed at the end of game 2, to be completely honest with you, Danny. And 35 seconds left. You've got to ask a miracle of one of these players, or even multiple at this point, but nobody is answering that call.
Well, RMD, straight back it goes here. It was really slumpy. That was a major difference in that series previously, where it got Team Serene out of the hole, and RMD won't get the touch here, but it is Darkness's peppering shot. About 10 seconds remaining shortly here. It's going to be 3-0 down. The last time we seen a Serene roster on stream that was that far back, it was in a grand final. They may have got it somewhat close, but not able to win it. And mind you, that was the elite tier back then. Let's see if history will it be kinder this time.
Not looking like it so far, right? It really feels like when you look at this Team Serene side, it just doesn't look like it is on the same level as Shadow Darkness here. And I mean, Shadow, for a team who, like you said beforehand, Danny, in that last game, or it might have been Veiled, might find themselves lucky to be in this position, and now going to find themselves moving forward if they win one more game to that playoffs bracket, to Saturday's games. And there'll certainly be a long road, but it's got to start somewhere. And well, for Akami, it's got to start somewhere as well in this series, and that starts with a timeout.
Well, and do you know what? Hindsight's or 2020, probably after game 2, the time it would have been the better decision. But in those 2 games, if you sort of break it in chunks, they looked, for the most part, actually in the game. This is actually the first time they've been out completely, and the fact that Mithril has only 90 points. I normally don't use stats, so don't like numbers. We didn't say his name very often, wasn't in the play in the grand scheme of things, but good enough to somewhat sit here and make a threat here the entirety of the Darkness roster. Sometimes things can be misleading, but Nixo hasn't been on fire defensively, Slumpy hasn't got the shards, and RMD hasn't been RMD. If you don't have the elements, you can't get this together. They've got 2 minutes to work it out here.
Yeah, they certainly do. Season on the line here. Lose any of the next 4 games, and it will be over. But I mean, this is where we look towards players with experience. This is where we look towards players, for example, like RMD brought up there, to try and lead their team out of a position such as this, because it's not a favourable position to be in. That is very much for sure. And I mean, Danny, as someone who has played it in these situations many a times, I want to know. I asked this to Pegasus in SSA yesterday. What would you be saying to your teammates in this particular timeout?
Spain looks nice this time of the year. It depends. It depends on the situation and on the teammates I have. If it was like last season with the likes of Kieran and Crab, it would just be calm, collective, repeat what the game plan was going into it. And generally speaking, if it was working, if you're going, season before that with Strafe and 3-5, you do everything that you can not to talk about the series and let your intuition take over. It depends all on the moment, and at the moment here, based on the way it's been going, I would sit there and say one simple thing: just take your time.
Well, just take your time is the theme going into game number 4. One team has all the time in the world that they can take. That is Shadow, and they've got 4 match points to work with here. But for Team Serene Akami, it is them who have to take the time on the field, slow things down. Remember that they, while still have a long road, it is very much still possible, but already they find themselves under some pressure. Slumpy with a bailout there. And it's quite a heavy commit into this corner. RMD is going to be quite happy to pick that one up, but Lynx is not having it and already challenging early Shadow Darkness into this game 4.
Certainly so, and 24 hours ago, if you were watching the broadcast, it would have been Aspiring Berserkers and a rival sub up, one of arguably the lowest on the entirety of the tier, moved into the situation. He has played up into the semi-finals and the challenger, which would be the equivalent elite tier in the old ERS and RSC before, and made one of the biggest surprises so far. We've seen the prospects of Team Serene doing the 14-game second time it's ever been done in history, and right now we're wondering, can RMD win a game? That's the oddity of the evening so far.
Yeah, when you put it like that, it does certainly seem like it is. And it is going to be RMD who touches this one forward. Although Serene hitting the ball away out of their possession. Will be beat back over there. A challenge from RMD allows Slumpy to pick it up. That's a great setup. And it's a great finish from Nick. So Team Serene, that's a little bit more like it.
10 minutes. Well, 11 and some change. I'm not working it out to the second. I'm being lazy. So was the defence there too, Hodge. That was defendable.
Yeah, it certainly was, right. You have to sort of know where that read's going to be coming from, because there's not many different places on this map where you can hit a ball and a setup like that from. Defendable, but not defended. And it will be Shadow who, or I guess Blood is drawn into them first here in this game. They're going to be looking to fire right back. They might have the opportunity here as they look to send it over to Lynx, but not quite getting that connection, which is going to allow Slumpy to dive for that one, but also not able to get a hand on it. And everyone's trying for these, long passes over to their teammates. Nobody's able to get these touches here.
Well, certainly not. And I've got a message here. It was around about 13 minutes as the wonder kid of the elite Stingray telling exactly how many minutes he knows. He made certainly Serenity, the Mina-like speed demon himself, slow and pain and anguish. He must have been laughing, enjoying every moment as Slumpy passed all 3, but Lynx with the second throw of the car there gets back RMD to the back wall. Mithril is there, and suddenly if Team Serene can do this, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4, you would think a miracle has happened this evening.
Certainly would be the case. We've seen reverse sweeps plenty of times so far in RSC this season, and it's still the early roads to it. And it's only a 1-goal lead here in game number 4. You can't get too excited, and we certainly won't, especially with the likes of Danny Boy in the booth next to me. But it's possible. It very much is. We've seen Academy, Azteca versus Team Serene in Prospect. I believe we saw it as well with Forge versus Owls. We've seen it a couple of times so far. What's another one?
That's another one. They're so common. They're just saying, you know what, I'm fed up. I'm fed up seeing these, spectacular things happen. Just give me the slop. And you know what? That's what it was.
Hang on. it's anything with you to pick apart the youth these days. First it's slandering the use of aura. Now it's, oh, you know, the terminology, it's not up to par with some of the old-fashioned, you know, terminology that we used in casting, and, you know, also where's these call times that we once had. But Mithril, he's certainly called up, he's dialed up, and he is there to try and put that one in, and successfully does, right back into the game, rsc-eu.
I'm just a bitter old man that remembering his, you know, days when he was in grand finals, losing them. But we don't talk about that, as the youth these days are hitting flip resets, winning trophies, and, you know, why always me? But that was Balotelli to Man City. You can ask Team Serene's rivals, 3 supporters, how well that went. They unfortunately went through out of course, simply in the playoffs, far too early by their standards. And Joe Watts here, the elite team of Serene, they've got to be careful here.
Certainly do. And it is this aggression from Shadow, these counter-attacks that have really haunted Serene so far this series. This time could be a different story though. Slumpy been huge in some of these first-man positions, just taking out opportunities for Shadow that they've been wanting to create. But RMD will be the recipient this time, and it will be Serene who continue to look for blood. But this time, Shadow, once again on that counter-attack, are going to go home empty-handed.
Mithril to the wall, Slumpy's up, Liam should get a bang here, soft control, Nixo like a roadblock. She won't let the straight alleyway be used this time around. 30 seconds here. Whether it's terminology of the old or new, the words of get it out will probably be screaming by both old and new. And links to the backboard. You have the U's, rightly so, but the biggest O will come shortly, and that will be the big 0 itself.
Certainly will. 10 seconds remaining here for both of these teams. Shadow, what a heartbreaker it would be for them to do it at the buzzer. There's still chances left. There's still a ball in the sky, and there's still players swarming in this attacking half. It's all about jumping for it. It's all about leaping for it, but you can't panic here. And Akami certainly won't. It will drop down, and it will be going to a game number 5. I mean, Danny, we're a long way away, but, you know, at least it's not going to be a boring 4-0 sweep.
Oh no! Anyways, how are you?
I feel like I just set myself up to be picked apart by you sometimes, but I'm alright, thank you. It's been a good day, watched the fireworks, done pretty much nothing else to be honest, but you know, gamer lifestyle is just a lifestyle of its own, and now we're here watching what is certainly some Rocket League, so...
Certainly so, and if you've been enjoying it so far as well, the Elite Up, or sort of round 1 match is still happening with Azteca, and I believe it's Blaze at the top of my head there. That will be happening in a few moments' time. As I did say, it's a serene day. Former player there, Big Bad Wolf, of course, former runner-up of last season, taken to the field here. But you know what, it certainly is taken up to the fight itself. We asked for Akami to do that. It's the first win they've had. It was the first goal they had in over 13 minutes. You know, suddenly here, we've got a potential game on our hands, and you know what? You might feel like I'm taking you apart. Darkness is doing a much better job on their opposition here.
Yeah, they certainly are. And we're going to head into game number 5. Find out if they're going to complete that, I guess, destruction over Serene here. Will Serene be able to fight back? It's a good kickoff already. RMD might have just slotted that one in. Liam tried his best, but his best wasn't enough to get past the momentum that Serene are starting slowly but surely to build.
You could say that was a Swiftie.
Let's not go here. Let's not do it.
Are you sure? Because I was just going to sit there and say Ophelia would be a perfect reference here, but will it be a sort of a Shakespearean actor? Will it be more closer to Macbeth at this point? But, you know, since I'm slandering the youth here, most of you probably have never heard of Shakespeare. I don't know who's the modern artists or writers now these days, but heck one at home.
Well, I mean, you know, saying as you seem to know the titles of the songs, did you like the new album?
I haven't listened to it once. Every time I open to YouTube Shorts, there's at least somebody trying to do the dance. I'm fed up seeing it.
Well, yeah. Anyway, moving on to the actual Rocket League.
That is a man that's denying that they've done it there, by the way.
Team Serene, one goal up. Shadow Darkness trying to get themselves back into this one, but seeing redirect attempts, and well, it will only work out as an attempt. We'll head back over into Shadow as they're trying to get this one out, but that is just not the best challenge when you're already beat. And to be honest, considering the situation he was in, probably better to just sit and hope and you know, pray that that it gets hit into him.
Certainly so, and if you really want a song that can certainly get your teeth into, training season would probably be certainly one. And it has been sort of the nature of it, because R&D, well, it is certainly now game on, 2 to the better. And we'll be Liam's dropping all the way back here, and if you thought here about 10 minutes ago, like the rest of us here, this is going to be done and dusted and sweep, we wouldn't blame you. And that's off the wall, and Slumpy's back at it again.
Yeah, certainly is. It's getting a little bit, you know, exciting here for Team Serene as they find their second one. So I look to. I'm acting like the game's already over here. What have I not learned anything from RSC recently? As they look to find their second one here on their quest of a reverse sweep, Danny. But you know, I mean, at what point do you start to believe? Because I know, you know, you're not really a believer in a lot of things. Statistics is one of them. Apparently, you know, certain artists who drop albums in 2025 and, you know, YouTube shorts with TikTok dancers. Not a believer in many things, but is this comeback one of them? Well,
see, that's a wrong use of the word belief there. If we want to get down into that argument.
Look, one of us has been a teacher, one of us has been a student. Well, but both of us have been a student at some point. Only one of us has been a teacher. So you know what? I'll just let you crack on with that one, and I'll watch the actual Rocket League. Does that sound good?
Well, you know, you can do that as you want, but some of us have been the master. I'm waiting to see if an apprentice is worthy enough.
What was that? What was that second place last season? Talked about certain.
Sorry. Of interest, where did you finish this season?
This is the first season I actually.
Yeah. But where did you finish?
11th, 12th.
11 and 12 in what tier?
The tier that Milwaukee won.
So, Joe, as Mourinho would say, respect.
All right, well, that's exactly not what Shadow will be doing here, is on their attack, looking to try and fight back. But they're not being given any opportunities just yet. It's been Serene who've controlled this game for the majority, is an understatement. The entire thing, pretty much. And Shadow have not been able to find anything. It feels almost like we flipped the script completely from what was our previous couple of games. Why are we trying to own goal? But, I mean, yeah, Okami, they look like they're breathing some more life back into them. If they win this one, Danny, do you start to believe?
No. Sorry, why would you? Why as a neutral, why would you believe?
Well, okay. It is a glass half empty mentality here at RSC today. And, well, for the
there
side...
is no glass.
You're right, there is, we just skipped the predictions. So the glass was shattered a long time ago with you, wasn't it? And for Team Serene, you may have thought that, but they're looking to try and get themselves back into this one. They're looking to try and make their own glass. And what? I'm done. I'm done questioning some of these plays. I'm finished, honestly. Maybe it's time for me to go into the retirement home soon, because this series is aging me rapidly, and 30 seconds remaining in game at number 5 before we head ourselves over to Neo Tokyo. But this series, you know, although it's been a bit of a struggle here for Serene for the most part, it's starting to get a little bit nicer, the territory that they seem to encroach into.
Alright, so, and then, you know, everybody sort of sit there and look at it. The only people to, you know, in that situation, to go back to your point, belief's a dangerous game, so's hope. So unfortunately, while I would sit there and was coaching, That's what kills you in games. That is the one in the moment that just simply causes you. You've got to have the mantle, you've got to have the seconds, and well, Shadow will have their timeout called here. You've got to be realistic. The players themselves, they've got to believe they can do it. They've got to be the ones to sit there and say, we are the ones are in control of our own destiny. The game's not over yet. So for everybody else is, why believe? We just get to sit and watch, enjoy it.
Yeah, and well, it does seem that way. Everyone is enjoying the comeback that Okami is starting to present, but still find themselves a couple of games away from it. I think this next game is the decider for me. If we saw this next one go the way of Okami, I would be quite happy to back them to just get the whole reverse sweep from there. Darkness, a very crucial game 6 coming up for them.
Well, certainly so, and I find it hilarious. I had a brief look in sort of Twitch chat there.
I was hoping this wouldn't come up.
No, I'm not even mentioning that, but I find it hilarious that the Serene management has decided to show up when the players started the win, by the way. They were awfully quiet when they were potentially getting swept there.
Yeah, well, Vice wasn't here to watch his team. He was here to see me. So, like you say, it's his high at Hodge cast. He wants to play some more threes with me. And you know what, Danny? Vice is a real one, because Vice will quite happily sit in a VC with me at 2 o'clock in the morning listening to The Fate of Ophelia while you sit here and make fun of it on a broadcast in front of 61 people. So, you know what? I'll defend Vice on that one.
You're more welcome to. No, that's two different points here. Vice is a real one, because I can DM at 1 in the morning and have a lovely chat till 3 a.m. too. He's a real one as well, because he's played with the man who said 12th in the tier Millwar one as well too. So, do you know what? He's a better man than I am. You set yourself up for that one. I'll take a tap in any day. But, do you know what isn't a tap in? There's 60 seconds, roughly, still give or take here. Hodge, you're in the situation. You're in play-ins. What do you say to your team here to get themselves through?
Oh, no.
Joe, you can sit there and say to me, I've been, 5-6 finals. I've been there. I've had the opportunities to win. Wasn't good enough to win it. Wasn't good enough to get picked up by anybody in Elite this season. But you know what? I've had the experience. So tell me, Hodge, come on. Share the wisdom.
Well, what does it take to lose 3 overtimes in a row? It takes leaving the ball in the middle of the field and having not a single one of the 6 players challenging it. Then just to turn around and be like, oh, they're actually going to be quicker to this, and then run back to your goal and have no one challenge, and the ball sat there for 20 seconds with no one challenging. So what I would be saying is very different to what the situation is like right now. But if you wanted to know what I was saying in that specific situation, it was very much along the lines of, can someone please go for the ball?
Seriously. Was that the sort of the advice, the big moment in the situation? Please go for the ball.
Well, yeah, to be quite frank, I mean, at the same time, I'm not too annoyed. I lost to one of the players who went on to go second in prospect and lose 2 game 7s in doing so. So, end of the day, we can't all lose and get knocked out of play-ins to the second place player in prospect who, the reason he lost was because RSC history was made for a second time ever. So, you know what, Danny, I'll take it. I'll take getting 11th and 12th.
I'll be honest with you, you made that more tragic than I ever could there.
Yeah. Anyway,
do you need a hug here after this?
Might just do.
Yeah.
Anyway, game number 6 is well and truly underway, and still scoreless here. Maybe that can change. Maybe RMD gonna find a worldie off the back wall, but we'll be over to his teammate in Nixo and back over to RMD. It's just recycling this attack. How long can you recycle it before it depletes to nothing? We might be about to find out right now, because that ball is just everywhere but, in the back of the net, it seems. And, well, now we see a flying Liam coming towards this one. It's a pass back out to Shadow. Not a fan of this one, and I don't think Team Serene will be either.
I don't think that they will be. It's a sort of the similar problem that Serene just had in terms of that positioning play. You know, once they get themselves tangled up, they sort of find it very difficult to remove themselves out of it. It's a Plater sheet here, but let's not get into sort of quantum numbers at this point. Let's keep it basic and simple here.
Let's keep it 100 on the land, the sea, and the sky.
Yes, do you place your hand on your hearts here?
in the car every single day, I'll have you know. But 3 minutes left of this one. And Akami, I've got some work to do. It could be their elimination from Elite this season, or it could be a game number 7 if they can fight right back. We've already seen this game so far, Danny. They've had chances, right? Look towards that shot counter. They've had 4 so far. How can they look and approach this attack right now? Not going to be at all as RMD's taken it off the field, but it will be back into Slumpy. He's looking for that backboard, looking for that setup, looking for that double. A new life is brought back into this game.
And that's what you need. A talisman in the big moments here. Everybody's looked at RMD. Shireen had looked to Nixo for its past history, but legacies are created by these. And Slumpy's making their own moments right there. That was carved wonderfully. Needs a defensive moment here. And he's bumped his opposition counterpart away here. Do you know what, you're Shireen here? You said this word belief. You've got to at this moment in time.
Certainly do. Belief has been a big part in this series. And after game number 3, you look and... What we do? Okay, you look and think... There wasn't really much there. This is now looking to be a different story. This is now looking to be Serene's story. But Liam, going to keep that one out and going to stop the second one from making its way in. We've got to remind ourselves, this is still 1-1. This is still a tied situation. RMD looking to change the title, looking to change the tides here. But it will filter back out to Slumpy. Team Serene not quite done with this attack. Or maybe they are. Maybe they're forced to be done with this attack, Danny. As now we start to see a little bit of pushback coming through from the likes of Shadow. About 1.5 minutes left of this one. RMD is putting it right front and centre for Slumpy. And to Team Serene Okami look very much alive on their path to a reverse sweep here today.
How good is your nerves? How good are they? For the next, 90 seconds, this is going to be the crucial, it's make or break here.
Certainly is. And for Serene, they've got to do what previously in the first couple of games they weren't able to. Hold on to that lead. Stop Shadow from pulling things back, clawing things in bit by bit. And Lynx take it back over to that midfield, but Team Serene are putting together the pieces, and thankfully it will be saved away there from Shadow. A minute still remaining here, Danny, and an attack still brewing from Serene.
Certainly is. Lynx trying to break 3, though. Liam right back down. And Slumpy, that's an awkward ball here. It's actually going a bit awful, really, and that's a poor one by Mithril. It's given possession over. Should be, if Nixo was thinking wisely, steal the boost and let the ball sort of drop into the corner. So essentially, Serene has allowed themselves to be flat-footed, so it should be possession lost shortly as RMD catches it at the middle. And where has Darkness been there? That's the moment that you need to squeeze the opposition.
30 seconds remaining. 30 seconds for Shadow to find something before Serene find themselves the final step from everything for this team. And 20 seconds. That time are going to continue to take down the ball up in the air. Where's someone challenging? There we go. We get to say it. But there it is. It's beat back over. Team Serene looking to just continue to drop this timer. Looking to try and get us a game number 7. And, well, they've been on a legendary quest. That quest has one final stop for both of these teams. And Slumpy will put the nail in this game number 6. We'll hammer it in. We're going the distance, Danny. We're going to see if it's all for nothing or if it's all for the glory here of getting to Saturday.
Glory, glory, and glory. Usually those words would be rickering around the rafters of Old Trafford. It hasn't been of late. Serene certainly wouldn't know what that is if you're in the elite tier. They've came second before. They would like to do one better. But Darkness, it's been some time since they've won as well too. And you know what, Mithril and the likes of Mutts in the background, you know, they know these situations aren't easy. It's what it is. Both sides have called their timeout. There is no left of the moments here. If you can bring somebody in, you would bring Stingray in from Listerine. He settles these games out quite nicely. It's the decider. Who will blink first? Because who does will probably be losing this one.
Does seem that way. And I mean, you know, you're looking at this Shadow Darkness team, a team that saw so much, you know, success and a good start to the season. That crumbled away from them gradually, but can it crumble out of their hands in the worst possible way? Timeouts both used. Time to throw it all on the field here. Game number 7, a reverse sweep or a reverse sweep denial. What is it going to be? Will it be mistake or will it be magic here on Champions Field?
Two sides will be certainly hoping that they can produce those magical moments, but to quote the AGM of Kieran, his first ever season here in the management sort of side of things, I'll close my eyes. The heart will be certainly beating, and all what you'll be listening to is that goal explosion. And you just hope that the words will be Team Serene goal to follow through, and it will do exactly that from its previous teammate from all those years ago when he first met Nixo. He may have been arrogant, he may have been somewhat overconfident. That is belief, determination and passion. They lead by 1.
It's a great start here from Serene. They're looking to do the unthinkable. And that has only happened a handful of times this season across all the different tiers. Will it be a third? Let's find out. Shot heading over towards this net from Serene. Going to be sent away. Liam sending it away as well. Shadow looking to try and play off of this counter-attack, but right now it is just all in the hands of Serene. They've secured this first goal, and after the first couple, that sentence is not something I thought I'd see. We only saw a handful of goals across the board, and now they're starting to come thick and fast here, Danny.
It's poor decision making, and Serene like of old. That was a mistake when Nixo's double commit and Slumpy went for it, and RMT went into no man's land. He might as well went to Tesco's for a value range sandwich. Get your club card ready, because that was a 2-for-1 error. 4 minutes is still left. A spot on Saturday still on the line though.
Certainly will be. It's 50s in the midfield. It's going to drop down for Nixo. Link's early challenge to sort of disrupt any possession that Team Serene were wanting to have. RMD on that challenge. Unchallenged until now. But is that one just going to find its way in? Not quite. Backboard bound. Slumpy though. A rocket over to RMD. Serene have another one. And the reverse sweep is still more than on the cards. That is confidence right there to be making that play. And they will secure it.
Well, respect to Slumpy for not stealing that one in. Would prefer if he secured it in, but the clock played an extra second. Those are moments that are champion quality. It's not the flash, it's not the brilliance, it's stability, it's the calm head, it's composure, and Nixo not getting the touch there. RMD backs away here. That's on target, at least up the crossbar. Back pass, it goes to Nixo. He's made near enough every play-ins and playoffs in his history beforehand, but he's got to think tonight might be something special. He has, mind you, made a slight error by pushing up there. Not a goal-worthy mistake, though.
Not just yet, Slumpy bumped into it, but that will actually work out. Hang on a second, how is that one a goal? There's no way that the bump comes through, it turns into a save, and then because of that, it turns into a goal. Team Serene pushing themselves, pushing each other on a redemption to excellence. And well, Danny boy, this has been the most topsy-turvy day of play-ins I've seen in a while. But, I mean, you know, it feels like we're just destined for one more twist of this tale.
Certainly so. The only thing I'm somewhat glad is, like Nixo, I remember coaching a long time ago, made sure that the one thing you don't do is give up in a match, in a series, especially when you have that sort of sense of there could be a chance. You've got to work for it, and he certainly has, but it's, mind you, it's Slumpy that's been so far Mr. Incredible for the team. But you've got to look at Shadow. Mithril's been there for so long. You talk about their turbulent seas and the ins and out of their roster, their lineups, everything not ideal, but they've got it in their own fingertips to do it. Liam, previous champion beforehand, he knows what it takes to win too. So come on then, what can you do?
Well, what can you do? That is the real question right now when your Shadow facing down this. The momentum only knows Serene right now. And they're looking to try and secure this series. That's not really favourable as it hands back over the possession to Serene. They're quite happy to take this one back, quite happy to waste more of that time off of the clock and slow this game down even more. But Liam wants to pick this pace back up, wants to pass it over to Lynx, who tries to slot it top right corner, but will be blocked out by the 3-time. And, well, Danny, he's been oh so scary in the second half of this game to come up against.
Certainly so. And if you just take that moment as well too, if you want to talk about the good old days, if it was back in there, it would have been a best of 5. Darkness swept Shireen out, and that's all that said. Now suddenly a best of 7, and you're suddenly going, where was this? Where was the performance? And you look at the likes of RMD, but look, there he is, Slumpy on the upside of the pitch, slows it down, but he wants to even talk about a second as well. What about the game management that brought the ball back, took a few seconds away, and made Darkness play forward when they couldn't, actually put a threat on target?
This new format has been so good for the play-ins and just making things more tense, making the action more interesting, and creating so many stories that wouldn't have had the chance to be told otherwise. That shot, so close yet so far here. And it feels like that is the entire narrative of these last couple of games for Shadow. What could have been is slowly slipping away into what is not going to be.
Well, if you take the battle, whether it's on land or by air, you would have thought Shadow was on a cert to win here. That's on target. That's a beauty. That's a goal and a half. And I'm proud of you, Nick, so I'm not meant to be biased. But that's a specialty that I taught him a long time ago.
It's perfect resilience from Serene. You look at this series, right, Danny, we were looking back into game number 2. We both called that mistake one of the worst mistakes we had seen in the past couple of seasons. Bouncing back from that to turning it around to reverse sweeps to, moving forward to the playoff Saturday when they weren't even favoured against illusory Team Serene have denied all the odds here today. And rosters inexperienced, it doesn't seem to matter. This team knows no defeat, knows no end, and Team Serene Okami will make it to the top 8.
They say class is permanent. RMD certainly an embodiment of it. The man that somehow always finds the way. Mission impossible became mission achieved. Simple as it gets for RMD. And Joe Watt, Shireen be looking at this and sort of going, Joe Watt's here. One decent win here on Saturday. Make a run here. It's never been done before in the current new format of RSC. The question is, can it be done? The closest we've seen was that prospect here. But Joe Watt's here. You've got to be looking at it and sort of going, they could,
Certainly could. Reverse sweeps don't happen often. What happens even less is teams running that lower bracket all the way. It's actually never been done, if I've got that stat from Arch last week, where a team has never gone from round 1 to winning the entire thing in the lower bracket. So, I mean, we'll have to talk about that maybe a little bit more on Saturday, but for now, it is a great response there from Team Serene Okami to come back in this series and make every single game worth it. And we talk about specific players. I mentioned RMD, a player who sort of went under the radar in the first couple, and all of them did, and bounced back in such a big way was Slumpy. You talked about it earlier, Danny, the highlight who was really driving this team in that last series, certainly doing so again. A great pickup for Team Serene midway through this season, and finding so much value in this series especially.
I'm not going to take credit for it, but I will sit there and say this. I remember being in the tryouts and give a list here. Certainly will say Slumpy was on that and very high on the list. I'm glad that Shireen may have listened to that piece of advice. But MVP quality performance, well, I can't disagree with the statistics this time. But Hodge, that is the lower side of the bracket done. And you may thinking, well, Shireen themselves, they're through here. Well, that certainly is the case, but it's Owls versus Azteca, and the storyline doesn't end if you're, looking at Serene's lineage, another runner-up from last season's final in this very tier. Big Bad Wolf takes to the field as well here. Do you know what? It could be a day here of, former Serene players doing very well here.
Certainly could. Everyone in that playoffs bracket has an opponent apart from 2 teams. Those 2 teams are Team Serene Okami and DSQ Carbo. The winner will move on to face DSQ of this next series. The loser will get Serene. Hang on, no, I've got that wrong. Will get somebody in that lower bracket. Never, I should never do this live while looking at the bracket on the stream.
Somebody will play somebody on Saturday.
Somebody will play
there.
yeah, let's go. Somebody's going to play somebody on Saturday. We're going to send somebody to that upper bracket next round in about 10 minutes time, and then somebody else.
As well, Hodge. Somebody else will be doing commentary as well.
Really?
Yes. But who that is will be after the break. We'll see you somewhere, somebody, sometime.
You struggle to rank up in Rocket League? Are you stuck in Diamond while your other friends flex their SSL title? Well, look no further. I have partnered up with LTXAcademy as a coach, and we are ready to boost your gameplay. With multiple tournaments and trophies won and thousands of dollars earned, I will cater to your needs and make sure you get to that next level. I'm also doing discounted prices for the first 10 days, so you do not want to miss out. And you are also probably thinking,
CMOS, how do I book a session with you?
well, that's easy. Just open up that fancy browser of yours, type metafy.gg/@cmasorl_, pick a session to your liking, book a time, and bang, you're booked, and I'll see you in the call. Once again, that's metafy.gg/@cmasorl_.
This isn't just merch, it's what teams wear when they mean business. Every stitch, every print, every detail, made to perform. Trusted by the grind, from grassroots to championship halls. Build your team store. Wear the brand that wins. SpartanWare, trusted by the grind.
Standing at the crossroads between a life and a little hand, and there's no
Well, I mean, what a series that was, Danny. That was an actual blockbuster there on the last stream, where it went the whole 7 games, and another reverse sweep here in the play-ins comes into fruition. But now we head up to our upper bracket, where we're done being the mean casters today. We're done eliminating people, and it's now time for us to, be nice and grant one team another advancement through the upper bracket, and we'll be a little bit mean to the other one, but not quite knocking them out, right?
No, I'll be equally mean to everybody, so hence nobody can sit there and complain about that.
Even me.
Alright, done that on broadcast according to your standards, so yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, moving through to our little pre-show here before we kick things off. I mean, it's been an interesting day so far when we look at the context of the bracket. It has been Game 6 on Neo Tokyo, where Team Serene were able to take down Illusory. Your face right now is telling me maybe it was anything but interesting, but aside from that, the last series has got to be interesting to you, right?
Oh no, I was interested in the last series. I was just too busy reading the in-game chat with the players. Because, I actually know the players in the lobby, and, I like chatting before the series. How are you? Do you feel ready for this one? The usual standard conversation, or how's the weather that you usually
Just shut
throw
up and
in?
get on with it, yeah.
I'm fed up listening to you talk about it, yada. Well, do you know what? Team Serene went yada after it went 3-0 down, but they're not on screen. It is Azteca who was probably happy favourites, as what we were somewhat alluding to in that pre-show. But mind you, Isles themselves will be looking at it. Nick, former Team Serene elite player, Cal D, who by the way has some incredible runs in the past in Senna. He's had ups and downs here, but not one solid sort of result in some time here.
Can I give a prediction to Stingray just so I still get the prediction points? I'm going to go 4-1.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
I'm going 4-1 to Azteca with this one. And for no reason whatsoever, I want an opportunity to get some points here and beat Char. And I'm quite happy that, Char is not in many casts this week, so I have more opportunities to beat him. So I feel like I've got to take advantage of those opportunities. But speaking of taking advantage of opportunities, that is exactly what Barney will not be doing here on this attack, as a couple of chances for them have been sort of swept away. But Demos, as much as they've tried to sort of, disrupt the defense here, have not really done a good job, because the attack has not really looked very put together.
Well, if you like, by the way, I'm at least on tomorrow twice, somewhat spoiling it. So you tell me what your predictions are, and if it's right, you can have the points.
Oh, okay. Let's see, what games are tomorrow? I don't even know what goes on in the
I wonder what games Danny may have accidentally asked for. It may be Team Serene, Master Team. May have let the secret slip there, but what hasn't slipped is this game so far.
You know what? I'll give it to. I'll decide by the end of this series. Now I'll let everyone know. But for now, it has been pretty dead so far in this game. Both teams.
Sorry, you're describing me or the game here, by the way.
The game. I don't call my co-casters dead on live stream, but maybe you'll save. I'm saving that for playoffs. Okay, I at least want you to get back to a grand final, Danny. It's been one season, and you lost that one. You won't have a chance to win this one, but you'll certainly be there in spirit, just like I was in Academy.
I just want to point out, by the way, never mind my playing record, I've got more casts in grand final than what all of RSC here not put together.
We're talking about new gen casters. I've probably got more casting grand finals this season than most people have played, like play-ins or playoffs matches. So, not to flex or anything, but
do you know what? You're going to flex so hard, you're going to hurt Sezon, who has yet to win a playoff match.
Oh my goodness! There's just absolutely no need. There's absolutely no need. But so far, this has been nothing on either side for both teams, and well, I mean, it's just been some midfield pressure that has been, I guess, fought for, but that's about it. No really dangerous shots. And Sezon, I can see him in Twitch chat. He says this is the season. You'd have to back him with this roster. And to be fair, someone's curse will be broken, Danny. Will Sezon win a playoffs game, or will Wessel not get top 6?
You could. Well, say you can have the possibility, unless West doesn't play. Then therefore, that his record
You know
then
what?
remains.
Pyric my goat. Pyric my goat. I want Pyric to play now, so we can keep the curses alive here. But so far
No,
in
no,
this
no,
series,
sorry, no, hold on, sorry. There already would be 6 if they go 0-2, so both records would remain.
ooh, that's a good point. Ooh, we didn't think of this one. Well, I mean, this should be a goal here for the side of Owls Barney, and it took a good amount of time for things to get going here. But finally, the fireworks are out here on Bonfire Night, and it is the first blood drawn by the Sky. I guess the Owls, who are keeping it 100 on the land, the sea, and the sky here in Game 1. Is that what I did there?
It's on repeat, is it?
It is on repeat. It's been on repeat for the past couple of weeks, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm so glad I don't have to listen to that. But you know
I'm gonna
what?
be
Have
honest,
you been?
I
Yeah, go
know
on.
there's been,
Be honest.
I know there's been a lot of conversations in Elite about blacklisting. I'm going to be on your blacklist in a second if I keep talking about this.
Do you know what? I've had, and I'll sit there and open the door a wee bit of, behind the scenes of Danny. I've had more surgeries and, problems in terms of, taking time off away from everything. Had to leave, Stingray's team, and all that there, and suddenly, hence, everybody's fighting with each other. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, and this is unusual for me. Can you not decide to hug and love each other and stop it?
Tell you what, you go into Elite discussion right now and ask everyone to hug and love each other and stop it and see what kind of response you get.
Well, since Elite Chats are already ignored my 2 good luck messages as
I
already.
did see that. It's quite disrespectful of the youth.
It's disrespectful for most of it, to be honest with you. But, apparently when you leave the scene, don't cast RLCS, and you're not like Sir Pegasus and being famous all the time, nobody cares who you are anymore. Oh, you're the guy with the green title, Wikipedia. Who are you, Ken? What stream did you cast for? You must be Spanish. There's no way you can cast in English. Oh, there's subtitles on this broadcast. This casting's going far too strange. Yes, it is. Oh, this is interactive now. Hello, everybody.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, I mean, I see PJ in the chat asking about predictions. Danny, do you want to give a prediction for this series, seeing as we didn't have time to cover
My
it earlier on?
prediction would have probably been 4-0 to Azteca, and for the brutal honesty of it, I just prefer being friends with Big Bad Wolf, and I would upset him if I didn't predict him. So I'll go 4-0 Owls.
4-0 Owls. Oh, I think you got the wrong team there, if that's your argument. But that's a good shot as well. And Owls, they're putting together the pieces on this attack. 2 incredible shots that didn't quite find the mark, but the third certainly did. And it's looking a little bit treacherous here for this Azteca side.
Well, it certainly is here, and if you want to look at my predictions, you can just see the 4-0s against Team Serene, but
That's a Char prediction right there.
yeah, but who is Char? Does he have a Wikipedia page?
I will be sending him that clip later on. You know what? He was so proud after he casted that Prospect Grand Final and you said well done. He thought you'd gotten some validation from the GOAT, but no, 2-0 here for Owls. They're doubling up on their lead and they're continuing to make this a nightmare for Atlacoya, who can't quite get anything in this one. It's not been a goal. It's not been anything. They look asleep at the wheel.
So far, so this series have been it's almost like the RSC podcast. The gameplay is happening, but we're talking about everything so far here. This was meant to be the banger, the highlight, the match of the day, so to speak. Or nah, No! On paper going into this. Why? What would have been it then?
Well, all I can say is that I knew the casting would be a banger. I'm not sure about the series because you know I see me and you on that caster sheet, and I just know we're having a good old chinwag on the broadcast about anything apart from Rocket League. You know, I recall when we did some Vision Gaming stuff, there was a couple of people who contacted our certain producer saying that they weren't very happy with the casting. And well, anyone in RSC who is feeling the same way, feel free to drop Danny a DM and see what kind of response you get. But it has been a incredible series for one particular team so far, Danny. I'd like to see some pushback from the other, and Nick is going to deny it.
And Sins Hodge is an upcoming caster, and he would love to make a wonderful impression with everybody. Please see him instead. Unfortunately, Danny's too busy being in the care home. I'm well aware. I'm sure it's why are you casting with Danny? Such a horrible, mean person. You deserve better. You're not wrong, but fair enough.
It was more saying this is actually the best cast ever. Keep it up, but yeah, it's certainly been something.
Yeah, it's been something. I just remember a long time ago, Saucer used to be the head of productions, now, former head of admin. I think he's still around these days. Used to enjoy when it was the bracket resets, and I had it as well too. But, you might be wondering so far, the game we haven't talked about, the things have been happening here. Without us sitting there saying, he's had a shot, he's missed it. Sit back and relax, because I have a gut feeling here Hypnos is going to call the timeout here after the next 2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, we can sit here and say, there's a little bit of pressure in this side of the field and just recite the same script that casters are taught to do over again.
Sorry, hold on. Nobody puts a script in to say, you've been taught this with me in the same sentence. Get out, Todd! To go back to the earlier point about the master and the apprentice, I've taught pretty much most people on this scene, and there is no script.
It is a watch party right now, pretty much. But anyway, I mean, to pretty much say what's happened this game, that's a great save, to be fair. And it has been a 2-0 lead held by Owls Barney as they look to go 2-0 up in this series. LTXAcademy have not really had anything to say about this game, and usually, or you can be a little bit generous with that. It's literally been nothing. There's been no goals. There's been relatively little shots. I mean, we've seen 6 shots, not a single goal, but none of those shots have really felt that, dangerous, apart from maybe 1 or 2. So I don't know what necessarily is going wrong here for LTXAcademy, but Danny, maybe you can impart some wisdom here on the broadcast.
Sorry, I had a thought that was, I wanted to bring up there, but you can have that or the useful information that may be useful. Up to you. Which one do you want?
I want to do what chat says and cast the game because I desperately need everybody's approval in life. And yeah, anyway, 35 seconds remaining with this one. 2 goals on the board here for Owls. Looking to make it 3. Will be taken away though. And it's the demo being hunted for by JMS. We'll find the bump. That's more like it here from LTXAcademy. And they get their first goal in this series. Oh, it only took, 10 minutes.
It certainly has, but you just have to remember Team Serene also took 13 minutes before they went on that reverse sweep. So yeah, it's one of those ones you've just got to be questioning and wondering, but without going into the old history book, if you know Cal D's history record, especially when he's up front and leading, you don't often come back from it.
Yeah, and it will be Cena to drop that one in the back of the net with, well, it will be Nick with help from Cena, but 3-1 the scoreline here in game number 2. Owls looking to double up on their lead after game number 1. Make it 2. Put LTXAcademy on the back foot. And I'm not really sure what it's been overall here, Danny, because it's LTXAcademy team who, have not looked like a bad side this season in general. One of the top 4 shooter. Has looked a little bit lifeless here today so far. And I would not be surprised to see that timeout button slammed. And it hasn't been yet, but I'd certainly be calling it after what have been a disappointing first couple of games.
Do you know what? I'm
What?
just going to do it. Yeah, it has been disappointing. It's been the worst I've seen Okoye play. In fact, I've scrimmed them. They've been much better. I've seen GMS himself, pop off and playing shots at you, going, Harry's he done that before? Big Bad Wolf is usually that unstoppable player. Hypnos, he has his moments, and it's just him being solid is going to make the difference here. And it's not there. It is essentially Okoye who has done the disappearing act. It's not good enough.
Yeah, it really isn't, and they're going to have to turn that one around there. Our predictions are looking a little bit silly so far, but I think everyone's probably is at this point, right? Yeah, not a lot of teams probably or players predicted this to be the current game state, but Owls Barney looking to try and send themselves into that top 6 and a date with DSQ Carbo on Saturday in that upper bracket. And, in terms of Owls as a franchise, right, Danny, this season, new franchise coming into RSC, they've had some pretty good success and, well, are still waiting to see if they're going to win Challenger at the same time. I don't believe that's happened. I could be wrong, but...
It hasn't happened yet. It's being played, I believe, during the Masters playoff. What stream that maybe I don't know yet, but I'm sure that will be posted this weekend.
Right then. Well, I mean, there's a lot of action. Stay tuned for that later on in the week. But for now, it's Okoye who come alive on the attack, and it's the Big Bad Wolf who gets the beat, drops it down. JMS waiting for it. Okoye have got themselves an opening in this game number 3. But what are they going to do with the opportunity, right? Because it has not really been a great series for them. How are they going to turn that around, or is it going to be Nick to jump for that one? Not quite on this occasion, but you've got to say that Owls are certainly going to be looking to get right back into this game.
Well, you would heavily expect so, the way they've been dominating the last 10 minutes. I mean, if you have sort of the phrase, you've slept at the wheel here due to, how routine the game has been, you wouldn't blame them. To some extent here, that goal has maybe could do the reverse effect for Okoye, into the sense of saying to the Owls lineup, saying, you've got to waken up here, and so crikey, now it's 3-0 down the series and it's match point. So Okoye's got to score the second goal, and if they don't, you just have to back Owls from here.
1-0 here for Okoye. Owls Barney going to try and contest this one, but it is going to be the demos that are coming through. Try and open things up. That's a big whiff, and the touch thankfully is made there by Big Bad Wolf before he is sacrificed to the Owls. And the Owls usually aren't a very vicious creature, so
I was wondering where you're going with that.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, right? But it apparently works. It apparently works.
See, the issue I have with the Owls lineup and the name of it, their name Barney, which should be a dinosaur, not an owl.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, you're not technically wrong, but in that case, the franchise colours, you'd expect them to be a bit of a different colour at the same time. But
well, they would have a theme song and a TV show to go alongside it too, but missed opportunity.
Someone write that down. I'm starting my own franchise next season. Anyway, it has been imagine Hodge as a GM. Wow, that'd be really something.
Well, I was a GM.
Really?
Yep.
Grandmaster of chatting utter nonsense. Wow. Anyway,
I didn't realise we were talking about your hobbies, Hodge.
By Okoye. Barney still trying to fight back in this game, and maybe this is their opportunity. It is put to a stop by JMS. Nick, well, last season, certainly a goal scorer. This season, he's got to try and do just that here to get his team back into the game state. But they're still going to be quite happy with how this series is looking overall, right? They've been out on top in the first couple of games. Just got to remember to, take things as it is, because there's still certainly a way back into this game number 3. And, well, if they win this game number 3, it really starts to get scary for the likes of Okoye. But Big Bad Wolf has had enough. It will still be saved away, though.
That's a typical Danny shot. Hits the crossbar and somehow stays out. Sorry, Danny, but I've got to say it on broadcast. You know I would do it in the VC with you. And there he is, mind you, off the wall here. Where's the follow-up? Sorry, that took far too long. And Hypnos, you know, you had a whole left or right side of the net and a big sort of bucket if it was sort of 9 billiards. But, you know, yeah. Come on!
Yeah, it's 2-0 here for Atlacoya. It's been a much needed improvement in game number 3. And Owls, it has been a bit more of a deflation on their part as well. And I mean, timeout not called by this Atlacoya side. They were quite happy to go into it as it was. But they've still managed to recover what looked like a disappointing series, or was starting to look like a disappointing series here. I'm impressed across the play-ins here, Danny, about how many close series we've had. You know, how many 4-2s, 4-3s. We've not really seen very many sweeps or very many 4-1s, very many boring series in general. It has been close, and that the same can be said just across all tiers, right? I mean, you look at most of the tiers. I mean, there was a certain Death Cloud versus Momentum in Academy that maybe wasn't, you know, it didn't quite go the distance, but for the most part, it's been quite nice.
I just stop you there and, you know, it's okay. It's your first time, you know, you're not expected to win.
Why are we making this about me? It's.
Well, you brought it up.
Yeah, and you continued it. Come on, professional caster. If you know it's in the wrong, you just drop it and move on.
I'm retired.
Inspire the youth. Teach the youth.
I did.
And they weren't very grateful for it. Anyway, 2 goals here for Atlacoya. It's been a long road in this series already. It feels like it's been way more than 3 games, that's for sure. And it will be game number 4 that we head to with not a 3-0 circumstance. Atlacoya finding some pushback for the first time this series.
Yeah, I also got a DM as well too. Just in between this, I'm just
Come on.
just staring as well too. Thanks for the cast. I hadn't muted. Thanks. So, you know, no, I'm not name dropping. I'll be certainly in a VC with him shortly. But anyways,
I know who that is then. Okay.
No, you don't. Aztec and Barney, 2 lineups. You sort of sat there and you sort of going, you know, the opening bits we sat there and said, you know, this isn't good, or this isn't the moment, or why is it sluggish and when it going across here. To some extent, yeah, the teams have taken that long to warm up here. You know, they matched each other quite nicely.
Yeah, it does certainly seem that way. Right, we're going to be heading into game number 4. Atlacoya looking to tie things up. Barney looking to take themselves to match point. But, I mean, we'll see, right? It was a bit more of a deflating game there from Barney. How do they bounce back into the next one? I have to say, Danny, you know what? You say you're going to be in a VC with someone soon. How many corporate meetings do you have on evenings? Because, I mean, just how many VCs do you schedule with people?
If you were important enough, you would get one.
I've had my fair few. I'm
Then you
always
know
very
the answer,
terrified.
then, don't you?
I'm always very terrified what you're going to say to me when you offer a meeting. To be fair, it seems very intimidating always. But the last one.
No, Danny's intimidating. It's not like I done a podcast for DSQ and I quote Archeon, we know that you're a big softy underneath all that.
Oh,
Thanks,
yeah.
Pegasus, for doing that interview, by the way.
Into game number 4 we go, and it has been a little bit of an interesting series so far. Right, we've had the early shots fired from Owls, and now we're starting to see a little bit of a response from Atlacoya, but only starting, and there's still very much a lengthy road ahead of them. Maybe that road's going to be carved by the big bad wolf, but it will be picked up and it will drop in front of this box. Fake from Hypnos coming through, picked up by Nick, sent away. It's great defense there from Owls, but now they've got to worry about the counter attack. And actually, never mind, they've just got to worry about hitting the ball.
That sounded personal, that sentence.
It's not.
Just got to hit the ball.
It's not. I definitely don't have, you know, memories in the back of my head from certain, you know, series as early. Never mind.
It's
We'll
okay,
we'll
just
yeah.
move on. That's what the professionals would do.
So
Welcome to the
that's not
largest
us then.
grassroots European competitions, by the way, here at RSC. Feel free to drop down into the Discord below.
You two yourself could be roasted live on broadcast by Danny Boy.
That ain't true. I won't be here next season. I've said that before.
You said that last season, and you said that the season before, and probably the season before that, but I don't know because I wasn't here. But it has been 2 minutes so far, no goals on either side. A little bit reminiscent of this game number 1 that we saw earlier on. But the side of Atlacoya, it's about breaking out of the defensive lock that they've really been putting on for the past minute or so. Good thing for JMS here. He's going to have some space to work with. Looks to try and get that pinch, but Caldi just challenges instantly. And, well, I was going to say it was bad news, but the big bad wolf was there to put that to a stop. And, well, it will be Owls who once again continue to have more pressure here, Danny, and continue to keep the scoreline at 0.
Certainly so, and well, sort of the play gets moved across here. I'm somewhat surprised that the Akoya lineups push up as much as they did. They have no possession here. I'm well aware they've got a coach and more likely some form of a game plan going into this evening here, but they've been somewhat off kilter. There hasn't been played to the way it would be likely to be shown. But you can sense that just through the fact that the approach to the ball or how they've matched themselves up here against the Earls lineup. But you know, 2 minutes, you've got yourself back into the series, so you shouldn't be complaining too much.
Certainly shouldn't. And, well, Cena going to look to try and have another chance for Owls. It will head over to this corner. It's a good stop by JMS, but Nick should have this ball in his own hands. It will be Big Bad Wolf to keep it away, and now Atlacoya look to charge down on this net for the first time in a while. A little bit of a breakthrough for them, but Nick staying poised on that goal line, looking to find this counter-attack and maybe find an attack in itself. Oh my goodness, I didn't actually expect that to get saved. What? I was going to say that was, you know, I was going to go silent, own goal. What are we doing? Never mind, that is a great recovery. What a save. What a stop from Atlacoya.
I love how everybody just sat there and presumed that the match was over, done and dusted with that sort of moment. But again, the old mattern of football, play to the whistle.
Do we really have to talk about football right now? Rocket League's way more fun to talk, or anything else, you know, because it's apparently just been the Danny and Hodge podcast. Forget DSQ. They are facing the winner of this match, and well, right now that's looking like it's
yes,
Owls.
We're going to bore the opposition to sleep by talking to them. DSQ's getting swept as they've fallen asleep to their keyboards. Who's our third, by the way? Is it Stingray?
Yeah, I'll take it. Honestly, he's the GOAT sub for a reason. I mean, I think you'd have a bit of a hard time playing alongside me, to be honest, saying I'm, you know, just a player that loses to Milwaukee, but...
Yeah, now you're doing it yourself. I haven't mentioned it. I don't think we're allowed to poach players, by the way, when they're signed to a franchise. You would need to know that in your GM interview, by the way, but keep on the learning.
Good thing it's not GM and good thing it's AGM. But anyway, 45 seconds left.
None of it's your franchise that you're running.
Well, it's hit 0 seconds. Overtime might be on the cards unless someone calls for it on 0 seconds. JMS downfield, although won't find a teammate. And Owls will happily see that one to the floor. Overtime in game number 4. Will it be a 3-1 lead for Owls? It looks like it will be. Never mind, because that's Atlacoya who I'm watching, not Owls. I'm getting things all mixed up. But what is this series in general? I mean, yeah, just take it off me, Danny. I don't deserve to be on this broadcast anymore. Just kick me from the casting team while you're at it. I'm gonna go and play Academy Rocket League full time. So he's gonna force me to stay here. Okay.
Sorry, nobody should suffer by playing in an academy. Sorry, academy players. No, you're staying here.
Is that what you're going to do? Just not speak until I started speaking again, and then, you know, if I didn't decide to keep speaking, then I'd get in trouble for not actually doing my job. But A minute left. A minute into overtime so far here. And at Lukoya, they've had some chances, but nothing to show off on that score sheet. 6 minutes now with no goals in game number 4. So for anyone wondering why we are not play-by-playing the entire 6 minutes non-stop, there you go, there's your answer. But it has been a lot of congestion in the midfield, a couple of chances here or there. Other than that, nothing really to speak of. Cal is going to run this up the side wall, but to no avail. Hypno's trying to drop it down, but just misses the touch. And this is what play-by-play looks like when you talk about nothing. Happy to help.
Is that the amateur or the professional casting, by the way?
Anything but the professional one, but you wouldn't know much about that either, so...
Yeah. It's going to be a very long read of my Wikipedia page when you're finished. Anyways, the game's with 2 minutes still left to go here. Some people might be wondering what is going on. The ball's been hit, it's been somewhat occasionally on target. But you know what, the major sort of the point here that hasn't been mentioned is Earls hasn't effectively left this particular segment. The yellow that's on your screens for the last, what, give or take 2 minutes. The ball's been directly sent back in kind. It has been the longest now that ball has been since OT.
Yeah, 2 minutes and 21 seconds into OT at Lukoya, hitting it down field. It should be a free collection though for Owls, and Cena's got some boost to work with on this attack. He's also got a double lined up, but it's just a fake for Nick, who's coming through to put it on the back wall. Cal D trying to tap it in. It's whiffs all around for Atlacoya, but they are able to sort of stem the bleeding for a little bit here and pick up their pieces. But can they walk away? Can they get away? Because, well, I mean, it seems like Owls are still on the hunt here. They're still looking to piece together this attack. JMS, though, going to play that fake. Be Cena, who taps it over to Nick, who's waiting on the side wall. And I mean, it looks once again just like, you know, chance after chance. Is that in? No, of course it's not, because we just don't score goals here in this match.
I am very thankful for these two teams, by the way. I love 0-0 goals or games.
But does it depend who you're casting with?
No. Just as the idea of a 0-0 long OT.
Fair enough. I mean, it is when teams play pretty perfect Rocket League on the defensive side, at least. Maybe not the offense, but that's another discussion in itself. 50s back out over to that midfield. Will be popped up there. Nick's challenging, but the big bad wolf is there to counter it. Drops it down. Free ball for Cena, double shut down by JMS. And once again, it is just the midfield presence here from both of these teams that is fighting to overbear each other, but fighting is not enough when you're not overcoming.
Yes, but you could also have technically running away to fight another day is also the outcome here. And why did they not decide to go for the pinch here? That's just a defensive blunder. Oh.
Yeah, it's a horrible situation to lose after 9 minutes of play. That's the goal that goes in. That is the goal that finds its way into the back of the net. And, well, you know, maybe after all this, the big bad wolf is sent running back home like Little Red Riding Hood. But it will be Barney who moved to match point here, Danny, at Lukoya. Are going to look to try and find their way back, but it will have to be a path back to Champions Field if they want to overcome this series. For now, it is Barney who have certainly been large and in charge of this series, and we will see if maybe they're going to, you know, be able to close things out here in the next game. But honestly, just want to talk about that shot at the end there, because, you know, Nick slamming it in the back of the net. We all know he's a goal scorer, as does everyone in Elite. And, you know, when you need someone in those situations of 9 minutes of play time, you need someone who can put it in the back of the net. And I couldn't think of a better person than Nick.
In Elite?
He's a goal scorer. The GOAT said it himself. What can you say?
Well, I would say Slumpy would be a better goal scorer. We saw that in the reverse sweep.
Yeah,
there,
well, you didn't win
have
Academy.
to.
Yeah, but you didn't win Academy, so you're not the GOAT. You won't even cast Academy. You're too scared of the Academy players.
No, and if we want to have this as an accurate conversation, I have many of times sat here and told the production team I'm afraid I might go too harsh on Academy or Prospect, so please don't stick me on it, because they deserve to have a bit of warmth and praise and encouragement. But, you know, you wouldn't have that conversation, or wouldn't know that, so hence that's why I don't do it.
Well, into game number 5 we go, and already at Lakoya, they've got themselves a chance here. Hypno's trying to just get it over everybody here, and the back lines have gone missing. The defense is disconnected. JMS has got that one in the back of the net at Lakoya, 1-0 up.
Certainly so, and it's a much needed goal as well too. It's well, essentially 10 minutes, I think, since Okoye's actually scored a goal, but again, sorry, it's enough 15. How long has Okoye scored a goal here? Because I'm trying to remember at this point.
It's been at least 10 minutes up until now. Yeah, it's been a while, but now they're looking to find some redemption for it. Big Bad Wolf trying to set up that double tap, won't be able to get the angle required. Will still be kept in play though, because JMS is sticking around. Caldi waiting for that one to drop down, although it will be picked up by Nick. It's good defense here, and it's horrid defense on the side of Atlakoya. So it's Nick just he's that person, he's that bad driver on the motorway who's just, you know, undercutting people, who's just overtaking people, who's cutting in, who's just, you know, that's Nick right here. And his lack of skillful driving makes up for being good at shooting.
I was trying to work out where you were going with that analogy.
Look, it's a difficult time when, you know, you're trying to navigate the motorways as a young driver, and you've got people who don't know what they're doing.
Okay.
Does that answer your question well enough?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with this. Alf said stop bullying me. Like, come on, chat wants you to stop bullying me, Danny. Stop bullying me.
Fair enough. The cast is all
Start
yours.
casting the game. Come on, start. We've got to talk about the game. Okay, well, I think that's a good time to talk about it, because you're certainly going to not, and JMS does the talking here on the pitch. A ground pinch to send Atlakoya back into the lead, and just as we went from 0 to 100, so did the players.
Certainly so, and one of the major importance, whether it be a player, caster, or production, is the ability to think for oneself, and that's what Okoye was able to do there. Saw, read the play, and slotted it home. Big Bad Wolf will be certainly trying to do something as well here, but not able to slot it home.
Able to. Is the lead regained by Atlakoya. And I'm trying to sort of, it's quite, you know, you sort of talk about thinking for yourself. I'm trying to think for myself, what phase of the game are we in now? What way is the switch being flipped? Because are we in podcast mode? Are we in cast mode? I can't tell. I can't tell what we're supposed to talk about here and what we are.
You tell me, because you were quick enough to say it to me. Go on.
Well, yeah, I don't know. If in doubt, talk about the game, and maybe that's what we'll have to do, because that's a great drop-down pass, but the final shot, the final connection is not there. 2-1 still held on to here. The equaliser not found. And, well, I mean, when you look at this one, Danny, it has been very much a back and forth in this game number 5, but still, the one who comes out on top is certainly this team of Atlakoya, and you cannot say that in the context of this series, and maybe if the attacks keep coming here from Owls, we might not be able to say that in the context of game number 5 either, but still 2 minutes left to find that answer.
Certainly there was moments of this sort of series where, I mean, yourself sat there and said that, you know, boring 4-1s or 4-0s has been sort of elusive at this point in terms of the play-ins as a whole. Well, Okoye would, you know, essentially fall into that trap if they can't sort of hold on to this 2-1 and then build from there. But the difficulty is always trying to sit there and, you know, stand there and get that opening when they get those sort of type of goals. At this sort of point here, yes, they've sort of stabilised. It's what from here, and that's going to lead to the next question, or likely who the next blunder.
Certainly so. Gonna roll down off that back wall. Cena's jumping for it, but missing it as well. Hypnos to guide it back out, play that 50. Well, just over 1 minute still remaining. This is where Owls can potentially look to pounce on their opponents, but the bumps are coming through. Big Bad Wolf is clearing it downfield. Cal D trying to stay on this one, and I'm getting a little bit too caught up in reading chat apparently, as the shot is threatened, the shot is taken away, the lead still held by Atlacoy.
Well, it's always interesting when you have your eye on the actual prize itself. Hypnos gets it, scores it on in, and that's simply a goal as well. And Okoye back into the series as well.
Certainly are. Game number 5 looks to be wrapped up. Looks to be, but not quite just yet. But still a good proportion of this series left. And I wonder if people are in chat thinking, can we get this over with just so we can, you know, hear these guys stop talking? Or if they're thinking, we want to continue this just to see some Cinema Rocket League. Because let's be honest, no one wants to see us keep talking because everyone just hates us. But do they hate us that much that they want to see the series lost because of it? Or do they just want to watch some Cinema Rocket League and mute the stream?
Well, I don't know. Chat is more than welcome to do what they like and please. The gameplay is still going to be continuing. And frankly, as will be Hypnos to be moving across here, tries to go low, not being faked out here, but that's crossbarring down here. Don't think he had enough time to slow the speed or get high enough on the ball to essentially kill the angle. Either way, 3-1 to get yourself back into the series proper would be certainly what Okoye wanted.
Yeah, certainly will be a bit of a redemption here from Atlacoy as they fight themselves back into this one, take it to Game 6, take it to Neo Tokyo. Will we go the distance, though? Timeout not called yet by either team, so there's going to be a full arsenal of abilities ready to try and throw at these final 2 games in terms of the timeouts. Will either of these teams use them, though? It doesn't look like that is the case. As instead, we will head on to Neo Tokyo in the next 45 seconds, Danny, and well, we'll get game number 6 started. I have a question. Is Atlacoy showing signs of doing this to you, or is Barney just delaying the inevitable?
I think it's hard to sort of sit there and actually sort of summarize where sort of the thought processes of both teams, really. The fact that Barney hasn't been as clinical as they were in the sort of the first 3 games is just evident enough that they're sort of taking their foot off the gas there. But, you know, that sort of idea in terms of, you know, not calling the time, I think it's probably a gentleman's agreement to some degree. You know, it's late enough. It's 10 to 11 o'clock for most of the Europeans that are onto the pitch here. It's just play it out as it is here. We're still going to be in the competition. I think that's the approach that both sides have taken here.
Anyway, the game's starting. Better put the headset back on so I can hear my co-commentator, and we will get things underway. Game number 6 kicking off, and well, I don't know what you said, but whatever it was, sorry it happened. Yeah, or well done, congratulations. Either way, game number 6 kicking off. Neo Tokyo is in session, and will it be Champions Field coming up right after this, or will it be the end of the road here in the upper bracket for this Atlacoy side?
Well, it's nice to see the full attention is rightly where it's due. And sort of Big Bad Wolf will have his options here. It hasn't happened to Nick. Well, it's unfortunately, it's a poor flick here. Killed his own speed there before he's actually got the full control off it. And just like that, 30 seconds, I think it's actually been the closest Barney's had directly on target at some time.
Yeah, this is a chance for them to start getting things together, start looking for a goal here. It's panic in the defensive side of Atlacoy, but they are able to get that one swept away, back over to their opponent's corner, and well, Nick will collect that one there. JMS has to try and avoid the bump, trying to avoid the pylon that was about to happen there, but it instead will filter back out to the other side, and feels like we're just repeating the same things time and time again this series, because that's exactly what we're doing, right? It has just been the most predictable style of Rocket League that we've probably seen in a while, but at the end of the day, if that's how we get a Game 7, then that's how we get a Game 7. I know NRG and the Ultimates were quite happy to play those sort of games, and I, you know, would have hated to cast those ones, so if that found entertainment from some people, then surely some RSC games will as well.
Well, if it's that predictable and you sort of hit snooze on the old sort of alarm clock there. So what would you do to change it here? Because if you're a Koi side, why would you? Because you've got yourself back in the game. It's Barney that would arguably need a fresher approach here.
It's just, it feels like the whole series has really been on just small margins that could have really gone either way, to be honest with you. But this time, it could be going the way of Atlakoya. Not quite, though. It's saved away. It's Hypnos to try and find that favourable 50, but it will be challenged early on enough where it really won't matter. Hit out again by this side of Barney, and it will be Atlakoya who have to take to the skies again. Hypnos is quite happy to do that. Won't find the 50, though. It's swept away.
That's Big Bad Wolf removed, gone. And we're heading sort of half a game left, and the worst thing is sort of about the best of 7 format is sort of after sort of the first 3 games, if it's even, you sort of have to some extent here, and you look at it, you sort of going, right, how do we sort of break it? Because you sort of play 5 minutes, reset, and back again here. And you know what? It's one of those ones that you can get somewhat stuck in repetition. And Akoya here, the way they've end themselves up here, they've dropped deeper and deeper and deeper back here, and it's going to cost them a goal similar to how game 2 and 3 went for them.
Well, it seems that way. 2 minutes still remaining. Nothing on the board yet for either team. Cena going to look to change that. That is a rocket, but it's sent right back and cleared away by JMS. A collective effort in the defence there for Atlakoya, but it's popped up. Nick looks to try and get it infield. JMS is waiting, though, to try and get it dropped down. Will be sent packing back to this Atlakoya corner. Hypnos waiting, clear it away. But it just feels like both teams are quite happy to just give the ball away.
Well, certainly so, because sort of the way they've been playing is sort of one man goes, one man sits back, and then the other one follows up in between, and it's reset. They're happy to put it politely, it's low risk. And why would you in sort of the situation, the pass and play, if you're going to do it has to be from the defences to break teams apart here. You have to wait essentially for when lumps and clumps, but that's a sort of an old school way of thinking, but let's not get down to that avenue.
We do that enough, don't we, when we cast. It always seems like it's new gen versus the old gen, and you always win. But a minute left, and is that one just going to be open? No, Hypno saving it away, but the follow-up can't be stopped. The goal scorer continues to add to the tally, and it might just have gotten Owls a date in that upper semi-final, but 50 seconds before we can officially say that sentence.
Well, some would be looking forward to it. Akoya is sort of that lineup and team that you might be preferably wanting to face due to that, in quotations, predictability that they bring on to it, but it's not been stellar. And they get that goal as well from this situation here. GMS out of boost, not able to be that threat that Akoya has reliably needed for the entirety of the season, but in all playoffs and play-ins, you need all 3. What have you got with the next 20?
Let's find out. It's going to head itself up onto the back wall, where Hypnos is going to be waiting to drop this down. Big Bad Wolf looks to try and slot it, but it's nowhere near in front of the net, and the opportunity isn't there. It's desperation now, though. 10 seconds remaining. It's popped up. Nick, this will fall to him on the backboard, though, and he's got a whole tank of boost ready to race to it, clear it away, and get it down the other side. It has been a semi-hard fought battle here by Atlakoya, but in the end, it will go the way of Owls, and they will move forward to face DSQ Carbo in the upper semi-final.
Certainly is, and it's one of those series where you look back and you sort of go, what could have been? And I think for Koya's sake of it, they'll look at it and say that that could have been better, and they'll know that themselves. But again, still in the competition via the uppers. Barney, however, as you said, double elimination, 2 lives still against DSQ. You know what? It's a shot for nothing essentially against arguably the favourite of the competition.
Well, we'll certainly see how that one's going to go. But in terms of how this one went, it was certainly a little bit of congestion here from Atlakoya. A little bit of times where games seemed like they really slipped away from them. But overall, Owls were pretty in control of that one. And, well, I mean, we've got to look at these post-series stats, but we've also got to look at who made the difference as well, Danny. We'll do that in a second and have a look at our MVP, but I think there could have been a couple of contenders for the Owls side of things there. It's good to see them though. Really pushing that as the victory. I think at the Koya look like the favourites coming into this game, but Owls shutting that down and saying that's not in fact happening.
Certainly is, and it's been a sort of a long-term problem really from Astaka, but they've got essentially, what, 2-3 days to work it out, but that's our MVP quality of player. My gut feeling is it won't necessarily be Caldi who should be having it. It will be obviously Nick, as you see on your screen, due to the goals. Well, I think without Caldi onto the pitch here, that match wouldn't have gone as favourable for that side.
Certainly is that way for sure. I know Caldi is a lot of people's MVPs for that series. But, the MVP on the broadcast goes off of the thing that you hate most, Danny. That is statistics. I mean, overall, just a good effort from all the players here on Owls. And as you can see here now on our little play-ins bracket, they will move forward into the top 8. The top 6 actually guaranteed. They move forward in the upper bracket. But now to get a look at our playoffs overview, because I believe we can also pull up the bracket for playoffs as a whole and see where everyone stands. I mean, you've got that the upper semi-cinema of, Stingray pulling off a masterclass to get Giles to that upper semi versus another favourite for the tier in Blaze. And then Carbo versus Barney, that is going to be a barn burner, no pun intended. And then lower bracket. I mean, do you want to break that lower bracket down for us, Danny?
No, you go ahead. I'll be interested in what you have.
All right. Well, I mean, you got Alpha Surge. I don't really know much about them. My knowledge of Elite still getting there. You've got Alpha Surge versus who Milwaukee called the worst player in Elite last season in Serenity. So, I mean, let's see if he can look to try and become the best throughout that lower bracket run. And in that other match, you've got Team Sereno Kami, who have absolutely been on a roll today. Let's see if they can continue that against Atlakoya in their follow-up match later on Saturday. So there's still some entertaining matchups to be had here throughout playoffs in the rest of the week as we move forward into Saturday and Sunday. But speaking of Sunday, that's not Elite, that's a different tier. That is Master. And speaking of Master, we also have some games coming up tomorrow, don't we, Danny?
We certainly do as well. In fact, tomorrow as well, Friday, plenty of teams still, of course, trying to book themselves into that Sunday championship outright, of course. There's still a few teams that you might look at and you sort of go, how are you still in there? To suddenly, why is the favourites being questioned? But to put in it kindly, if you remember last season, Kaish and Smishy, two arguably at the top end favourites, suddenly got knocked on out there, as you've seen. The play-ins, of course, the tomorrow and Friday's match at Berserkers, Abyss still there waiting in the lowers. But, Team Shireen's lineup, they had a roster change last second. They will have a lot to prove on it. But, there's Smishy sitting on the top end of it under the Irish franchise of the season. I'm so used to being Ireland, but it hasn't been this case. And, there's plenty of areas where you can pick at, but that will be, of course, for tomorrow's broadcast to break all that down.
Yeah, certainly will be for tomorrow's broadcast. And speaking of tomorrow, we've got 3 games for you tomorrow, and that is going to be those games that we saw on, the top side of both the upper and the lower bracket there. You've got Dexterity versus Team Serene Kazuku to kick things off at 8 p.m. CEST. Winner of that gets to play against Berserkers at 9 CEST, and then moving up to the upper bracket, it will be, like you mentioned there, the Irish team of Nate taking on Azteca's Montezuma. So I mean, it's going to be a fun one for sure. That is very much the case here, Danny. But in terms of today, that has been it for us. So, I mean, nothing left to do other than thank our sponsors, Badass Studios, SpartanWare, LTXAcademy. And if you're grabbing anything in the Rocket League item shop, make sure to pop in that supported creator code RSC-EU. Like I said, we will be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. CEST. But until then, everyone have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you tomorrow for more RSC action.
You struggle struggle to rank up in Rocket League? Are you stuck in Diamond while your other friends flex their SSL title? Well, look no further. I have partnered up with LTXAcademy as a coach, and we are ready to boost your gameplay. With multiple tournaments and trophies won and thousands of dollars earned, I will tailor to your needs and make sure you get to that next level. I'm also doing discounted prices for the first 10 days, so you do not want to miss out. And you are also probably thinking,
CMOS, how do I book a session with you?
well, that's easy. Just open up that fancy browser of yours, type medify.gg/@cmasorl_, pick a session to your liking, book a time, and bang, you're booked, and I'll see you in the call. Once again, that's medify.gg/@cmasorl_.
This isn't just merch. It's what teams wear when they mean business. Every stitch, every print, every detail, made to perform. Trusted by the grind, from grassroots to championship halls. Build your team store. Wear the brand that wins. SpartanWare, trusted by the grind.